No sign, no symbol is more synonymous with dreams. Hollywood. On this weekend, the Dream Factory, though, isn't a studio or a lot. It is a track. Auto Club Speedway of Southern California has been Toyota's playground. 6 straight because of 4 from Kyle Busch. And Busch is just 4 wins away from collecting the trophy as the series' all-time wins leader. The man he is stalking, Mark Martin, won't be relinquishing that title without a fight, because at this track, it hasn't always been about glory. At this place, the bumps in the road have been epic and sometimes painful. There is also a learning curve. Jason Leffler leads the points, but he, like the rest of the Nationwide Series regulars, has been shut out of victory lane. Shut out, but they are knocking. So who will be the star in this corner of Hollywood? The corner where NASCAR dreams are made. Welcome to the 5th race of the 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series season and a NASCAR countdown on this brisk spring day in Southern California. What the fans are about to see, 300 miles on the set tracks, 2 miles out there. Sprint Cup Series practice just wrapped up for tomorrow's 400-miler. Mark Martin gets to now jump into the Turner Motorsports car that won him the race in Las Vegas. And then it gets turned over to Kyle Busch, hopping into the car that has won him 4 of the last 5 races here. Earlier today, qualifying, and Carl Edwards continued to flex his muscle in that new Ford engine. It is his 2nd pole of the season. Of note, Carl Edwards and that 60 car also the fastest in practice. Outside pole goes to Kevin Harvick. He started in the top 10 for all 4 of his starts this season. And the top qualifying Nationwide Series championship contender, Aric Almirola. He will roll off 3rd. And look out for both those Junior Motorsports cars. The 7 with Josh Wise starts 6th. And how do you like this? Kyle Busch and Mark Martin are going to roll off both on row 4. A guy you won't see on this list, Elliott Sadler. He will start 34th after wrecking without really wrecking in qualifying. Here he is now with Doc Punch.
Well, picked by many as a preseason favorite to win the Nationwide Championship. The first 3 races of the year for Elliott Sadler have been somewhat frustrating. And then today, Elliott, you had a bit of a scary moment in qualifying. What's the latest issue you guys have been battling with this chassis?
Well, to be honest with you, we went to Vegas and we were like a 4th to 6th place car. We didn't feel like we were a strong enough car to win the race there. And you know Kevin Harvick as much as I do. We decided to come here with a totally different package, try some things different to get better on these intermediate tracks. And we just missed it a little bit yesterday. I didn't really get to run many laps. We were hitting the ground a lot. So we threw something at it this morning, and we got very loose in qualifying, so we have to start in the back. But honestly, Kevin took a lot of the same setup and a lot of stuff we learned from my qualifying lap, put it in his car, tightened his up, and he ran good. So we're pretty optimistic for the race for our bad boys, Buggy Chevrolet, and we should be fine.
You sat on the front row here in the Cup car last fall and won the Cup race here in 2004. Yeah. What's the key to success here?
Well, it's a lot of momentum. With these Nationwide cars, you know, with these new cars we have, it's a lot of drag. So you gotta have your foot in the gas. You got to run momentum. Some of the guys you're going to see are going to be right around the top, and some of the guys are going to be right in the bottom of 3 and 4. It's where can you get your car work the best at. But if you can get through the center of the corner, get back on the gas early to make these straightaways as long as you can, I feel like you're going to have a good day. So hopefully, you know, it's a long race. It's 300 miles. So if we had to mess up qualifying, this is not a bad place to do it. But looking forward to racing here today. One of my favorite tracks we come to.
Hey, good luck to you.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
Elliott Sadler has a long way to go. He starts way back in 34th.
Doc, Elliott, thank you very much. What you're about to see is our ESPN pit studio there, nestled inside the Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. And inside the pit studio, I am Nicole Briscoe, alongside Rusty Wallace and Brad Doherty. 300 miles on this two-mile track. Brad, what was going to define this race?
You know, we heard Elliott Sadler talking about you have to keep your foot in it around this racetrack with these Nationwide cars, keep them wound up. And what we will see here is long green flag runs. And with that, you have a lot of problems potentially with your engines. You turn about 8,300 RPM, so there's a lot of sustained RPM in these long runs. You're keeping that thing wound up, and that can put a lot of pressure on that valve train.
A lot of pressure because this track isn't exactly smooth sailing, Rusty.
No, Nicole, you're exactly right. This is a pretty bumpy racetrack. Throughout the winters, this racetrack has got rougher and rougher, and it's created a lot of ill-handling cars for a lot of people out there. A lot of them bouncing all over the track. Take a look at Brad Keselowski right here. Gets down to the turn. The car jumps and hops, slides all around the corner there, Brad. Up the hill. And you know what? A lot of guys have been having the same problem. This track is getting rough. And right now, with this new car here, handling's everything.
That was Brad in practice. We also saw this morning in qualifying, we just talked to him, Elliott Sadler, similar issues.
Oh, yeah, Elliott just sailed it, baby, down to the turn one, lost it, look at it, up the top of the hill. Pretty good driving, huh?
That'll make you change your shorts there on that one.
This is also, though, a new track for these guys. We've seen a lot this season, but this is the first 2-mile track. So, again, it's something new.
No, you got that exactly right. This is the very first time that the new car that Nationwide Series brought out is run here at the California Speedway in this 2-mile track. And because of that, they've had no testing. They've came here cold turkey, so to speak. A lot have been working on the handling, and some have got it and some not. I kind of call haves and have-nots.
Well, the haves had the upper hand. One race to go in Bristol. One in particular, one half. His name, Kyle Busch.
Bristol Motor Speedway, the old Coliseum of concrete.
March Madness is all about upsets. Let's make them happen.
They come to the start.
Be ready. Green flag, green flag.
And we're racing at Bristol.
Stenhouse, the pole sitter, has let the horses run.
We expect Kyle Busch to be Kyle Busch.
He has not made this his own party. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. closes within 4 feet.
Kyle Busch has led 83 laps and counting.
The 6 has a pass-through penalty.
Imagine that. We're getting screwed all day.
No one is keeping up with Kyle Busch. Trouble for Reed Sorensen.
The championship leaders behind the wall.
Blew up, believe it or not.
Jason Leffler is now your points leader.
War out here, man. Gotta take all you get.
Problems for Danica Patrick, racing pretty hard with Ryan Truex. Oh, man, hammered that wall.
What the f*** was that?
I guess she thought I meant to do that.
Kyle Busch has mowed the field down.
Way to go, boys.
The first man in Nationwide Series history to go over 10,000 laps led. Kyle Busch, an absolute demolition.
Well, Bristol's certainly a roller coaster ride for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. You had a fast car. What happened there at the end?
We did. Our Black Angus B Ford Mustang was really fast. We got the pole and led a few laps there, but we didn't quite calculate our fuel mileage as good as we wanted to there on that first run. Ended up pitting a little early, got 2 laps down, and we got the wave around. And I asked the guys where I needed to line up, and we went there, and it was the wrong spot. So we had to come back through for a pass through and ended up 2 laps down the whole race. But we had a really fast race car. Got to learn a lot from Kyle Busch, following him through traffic and stuff like that. So I was talking to him earlier, and he said he felt like we had the car to beat. We just got trapped 2 laps down there.
Okay, so what is it going to take for you guys, this team, to break through and get that first win?
Just minimize our mistakes. We felt like we've had really good race cars all the way, all 4 races this year, and just got to put it all together and quit making mistakes, whether that be in the pits, calls on pit road, myself as a driver, spotter, just everything. We got to put everything together, and I think we can do it here pretty soon.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. looking to put it all together here at Fontana. He rolls off 12th.
Well, local Long Beach boy Leffler stays ahead of Stenhouse by 2 points coming into this race. Jason, you've raced here 18 times in NASCAR's 3 different series. Do you have any more confidence coming in as a points leader?
No, this is the most confident I've ever been. Car's been running good. The Great Clips Chevy's been awesome. Got a Hendrick motor under the hood, and guys have been doing a good job. So looking forward to having a good race here. I didn't realize I raced here 18 times. This is making me sound kind of old.
Hey, you're just young enough to be our in-race reporter today. We're going to ask Jason questions before the race. We're going to ask some questions during the race. If you want to ask Jason a question, make sure you log on to ESPN.com and submit yours and see what he says.
Thank you very much, guys. Here's an update on another story that developed during the Bristol race. The he said, she said battle between Jennifer Jo Cobb and Rick Russell of Second Chance Motorsports. Remember, Cobb left the 79 car on the grid in Bristol, claiming she would not drive the car because Russell wanted her to start and park. It led to a week filled with accusations and the threat of litigation. So here we are a week later. Cobb has landed a new ride. Today you will see her in the 41 car for Rick Ware Racing. Russell is also running. He's got Tim Andrews in that 79 car. Here's what I want to know. Who doesn't get goosebumps when it comes to watching sports history made? Because that's what we are seeing right now. The battle is on for Nationwide Series supremacy. Kyle Busch got the win in Bristol. Making up for the win Mark Martin got in Vegas. So the score is now 49 wins to 45. NASCAR countdown returns. The significance of Busch's run at the title of Nationwide Series all-time wins leader.
NASCAR Countdown is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at CodeSpotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences.
dominating day for Tony Stewart.
Kyle Busch in victory lane at Fontana.
Kyle Busch, he is so fast.
I love driving for Joe Gibbs. He's awesome.
Joe Gibbs Racing wins at Fontana for the 4th straight time.
Amazing tonight. Thank you so much. That's why you're the champ, man.
Extending the record now. 6 straight.
6 straight wins at this track for Joe Gibbs Racing. Kyle Busch has won 4 out of the last 5. And, of course, Kyle is chasing Mark Martin for the all-time wins title in this series. Mark Martin has 49 wins. Kyle Busch has 45. And, of course, Busch became last week the first driver to top the 10,000 laps led mark. Now over to Mike Massaro, who is with Mark Martin.
And Mark Martin has publicly stated that he knows that eventually Kyle Busch will pass him on the all-time win leader list. But for the time being, you're battling him head-to-head. What's that like for you?
You guys are having fun with it. It's inevitable in the next half a dozen races or so. He's going to pass me up. That's a matter of fact. Kyle's incredible. What he's doing in NASCAR is unbelievable. So, I'm just having fun. Dollar General car is probably better than it was at Vegas. So, I can't wait to get out here and get started racing.
We're making it fun because you've made it a lot of fun for us to watch. It's been exciting. You talked a little bit about your car compared to Vegas. How good is it?
Well, it's better than it was at Vegas, I think. I'm real happy with it. I look forward to racing with it. And then Trent and I can, decide what it is that we need to work on. In practice with one set of tires, you get the car so good, and then you can't, that's it. You've got to race it and see where you need to work for the next race. And I don't race these things enough to be able to get there quickly. So this is our second crack at it. We've made some great improvements. We had a good car at Vegas. Those guys build great stuff at Turner Motorsports, and they got great Hendrick power under them, and Trent and those guys are doing a good job. So, we'll see if we can steal another one.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Mark Martin looking to become the first driver ever to hit the 50-win mark in the Nationwide Series.
Carl Edwards is trying to hit the 30 mark in this series, but in terms of Nationwide Series wins, he is number 5 for all time. Of course, today he also starts on pole. Number 4 on the list, Jack Ingram, 31 wins, all between 1982 and 1991. 3, Kevin Harvick, 37 wins, and then the number 2 guy on the list, the guy we're all talking about, Kyle Busch, 45 wins, all between 2003 and now. Mark Martin trying to hit the 50 mark at age 52, 50 wins in the Nationwide Series. And as we said, the guy on the list trying to add to his win total, also the pole sitter. He is with Shannon Spake.
Well, Carl Edwards looking to add one more win to his already impressive resume. Carl, after qualifying, you said that you felt this was the best car that you've had. How does it rank to ones that you've had here at Fontana before?
This car is great. It reminds me of 2005 when we came here and we had a screaming fast Nationwide car. And, we still have a whole race to run. 150 laps, anything can happen here. But our Ford Mustang's fast. It's really, really good.
We've heard some teams struggle with this brand new car. You guys really seem to hit on it early. How have you done that?
Our guys have just worked very hard at the shop. This is a huge change for every team in the garage. And, the engines, I think, are key for us right now. That FR9 has been a huge help from a year ago, and it's Mike Beam and these guys just building good race cars, working on every part of the car. The engineering's great, communication's good between the Cup side and the Nationwide side, and we're just having fun. It's great when they're this fast.
It is great when you're fast. Carl Edwards will lead the field to green.
It's also great when you can watch sports history, because whether it's for touchdown passes in a season or home runs in a career, it's fun to watch. It gives a fan the goosebumps. Why is this a significant run?
Yeah, we really need to pay attention to what Kyle Busch is doing. I grew up watching the old Sportsman series that evolved into the Busch series and now the Nationwide series. My dad was a huge fan of it, and we watched guys like Butch Lindley, Jack Ingram, Sam Ard, and Bob Presley race really hard throughout these series. These guys were heroes in my mind because they were from my hometown. I could see them every day, and I watched Jack Ingram and those guys amass multiple wins. What this young man has done in just a little over 7 years is unbelievable, and I don't know if anyone will ever top it in the Nationwide Series.
Well, you hit the nail on the head there, Brad. This guy's only 25 years old.
Yeah.
What'd you say? Jack Ingram won his first race at age 45?
45. Sam Ard at 43.
Yeah, man, that's unbelievable. But to win this many races, Nicole, 45 races for Kyle Busch is just unheard of in my mind. But the guy understands his car and loves it, and he's getting it done behind the wheel.
Yeah. It feels like the elephant in the room at 25, 45 wins already in the series. Why is he so good?
He knows how to communicate with his crew. Incredible. I mean, this guy knows that when the car is wrong, how to help his team fix the car. Springs, shocks, stuff like that. He doesn't put it all on the team to fix it. He gives them good direction, really good feedback. Anything he drives, he does the same thing. So in my mind, it's communication and understanding his car. That's what makes him win so much.
Yeah, it knows a lot about the chassis of the race car, just like this guy, Rusty Wallace. And I've been around a lot of race car drivers, and what I've noticed about really, really good race car drivers is they can point you to areas on the race car to go and work on and give you some ideas. Some race car drivers, they just talk a lot and don't give you any information. Kyle Busch is excellent. We noticed a couple of years ago when Joey Logano came into the Nationwide Series, he was struggling with his car. They put Kyle in that race car, and we watched the video and listened to him go around the racetrack. It was just like a surgeon talking about a surgery on how to work on that race car. He is excellent.
Is very methodical. But let's bring this conversation full circle because Kyle is chasing Mark Martin. Here we go. We have a guy who's 52 years old, 49 wins in this series. He's got nothing left to prove, so why is he here?
Mark Martin, I talked to him about this, and Mark is just a racer. He told me what he is doing in this Turner Motorsports ride is he is auditioning. Mark Martin is auditioning for 2012, and I'm telling you right now, if he's in an audition mode, I am his suitor. I am the guy that he can come drive for anytime. But he's taking this opportunity to drive great race cars. He's looking forward to next year and possibly running full-time in the Nationwide Series.
It's hard to believe he doesn't have anything locked up for 2012.
You
that
believe
he's auditioning. No, I don't believe that. But we'll see what happens. He likes his Turner Motorsports team.
Well, Mark Martin is doing double duty this weekend. So is Kyle Busch, and so is our guy right next to me, Rusty Wallace. We need to let you go because you have to get across the track and up in the booth where you will call the race in just a little bit. Thank you very much.
I'll run quick.
Thank you very much. We do need to do some sad news right now because the NASCAR family lost another of its own this past week. Stephen Dirt Mash died Wednesday. The Rick Ware Racing crewman was seriously hurt in a March 11th car accident that also took the life of RWR's Dean Schott. Dirt and Dean will both be missed. More NASCAR Countdown from Auto Club Speedway of Southern California when we come back. Danica Patrick is not in California this weekend. She is instead in St. Petersburg, Florida for the kickoff of the 2011 IZOD IndyCar Series season. Race 1 tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern. That is on ABC. Of course, Danica trying to win her first championship in that series, much like Brad Keselowski did in the Nationwide Series a season ago. This season, though, not off to a great start for that 22 team.
Right front tire, right? Yeah, I was just getting ready to come over the radio and say I had a small push.
Keselowski is even slower this time in turn 1. He goes to the high side of the racetrack. He bumps the wall.
You gotta be kidding me.
Brad Keselowski extends his frustration for 2011 in the Nationwide Series. Oh, no, and again. How many times this year have we seen the 22? Third in a row right there. As a crew chief, are you starting to look at camber situations?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a trend now for this team that they're going to have to get this under control.
Well, last year when the new generation Nationwide car debuted for 4 races, you were the class of the field with a pole, 2 wins, and 4 top 5 finishes. This year, it's been a bit of a struggle, Brad. Why?
Well, you know, it's trying to get everything right. It's a whole different team and trying to get the car to sit down right. We've really struggled unloading the car, and, you know, we haven't had that test day to catch up. So we had a little bit of time at Vegas, and we caught up. And by the end of the race, we were a threat to win. But, you know, we didn't get that here. So we really struggled unloading. I think we found a few things, and obviously qualified a lot better than we practiced. So hopefully we can get our discount tire Dodge Challenger up front at the end when it matters. We've got a whole race to adjust on it. We've seen all weekend long the tires are really big here. If we get a set of tires on it at the end and make the right adjustment, we can win.
Hey, good luck to you.
Thank you.
He starts 5th. It could be a good day for Brad Kay.
Well, from possible tire troubles to what could possibly be a red flag on pit road. New troubles with the new refueling system. And for more on that, here is Tim Brewer in the Craftsman Tech Garage.
Thanks, Nicole. The old refueling system had this nozzle, and the receiver was very forgiving. You could hit it about at any angle, but that required a catch can, one guy standing behind the car. The interest of safety, they changed this took 43 people from standing behind the car. The new system, you have to be more direct on your approach to get in. But the major problem you have, the guys getting used to it to the degree of once you put the Schultz system together, when you open it, you've got about 30% of the fuel flow. But when you completely compress it and get it, this is the difference between the fuel flow at 30%, it's about a 25-second stop. When you get it completely open, that's about a 14-second stop. That will win you a race during a green flag stop here in Fontana. Nicole?
Green flag stops will be something to watch. Fuel mileage, Brad, something else. How important do you think that's going to be?
It's going to be very important. The crew chiefs have to do their homework. The ethanol creates a little bit more horsepower, so you really have to know your numbers to the nth degree in order to know what you got on fuel mileage.
In a perfect world, if all things are created equal and it comes down to just the driver making fuel, who's the best driver at that?
I think it's Carl Edwards. He is absolutely phenomenal at getting that little bit of extra fuel mileage out of the race car, as well as being able to pick up the throttle and be very aggressive to keep people off of him. He is the best at it. I'd pick Carl Edwards.
We often hear drivers say at this track that the easiest place to pass is on pit road. Yeah. That said, last year on pit road, not good for 12 teams that were penalized, 10 of them for speeding off of pit road. This is a very long pit road with very big pit boxes.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's the thing. You're sitting on pit road, and it is so far to the other end. Once the jack drops, you want to pick up the pace and get off of that pit road. You just cruise and cruise and cruising. Guys get anxious. You have to be very, very patient and very smart when you get back to the racetrack.
This year's pole sitter, Carl Edwards, one of the guys a season ago that was left scratching his head on pit road.
Yeah, exactly right. Made a mistake on pit road, had a tough time. I'll listen to Carl here.
Let me know how fast we were, because I was on the limit, so I don't think I went over it. All right, backing down just a little bit on your way out of here. They're busting a bunch of them.
That was a trend last year. One of the trends we are seeing this year, though, is Cup crew chiefs that have drivers in the Nationwide Series coming over to the Nationwide Garage. We saw this yesterday. Paul Wolf, the guy that won the Nationwide title last season with Brad Keselowski, he's now his crew chief on the Cup side for that 2 car. He was over in the garage yesterday trying to help dial that 22 car. And how much is that transfer?
Oh, it's very, very close. I mean, the cars and chassis are basically the same. So you get the simulations from the Cup side over to the Nationwide side. So you're seeing more and more Cup interest in these cars because on Saturday they learned so much about how it affects the race on Sunday.
Do you think we will start to see by the end of the year making a difference?
Oh, I think so. Absolutely. But you got to be good on pit road today to win this race.
Countdown to green is on. 19 minutes and counting. Will it be a Nationwide only driver winning? We're about to find out. Mark Martin has 49 career Nationwide Series wins. He is the all-time wins leader, and so far this season, he's batting 1,000. One race, one win. That was in Las Vegas. In California, it has been all Kyle Busch. 4 wins in the last 5 starts, and so far this season, Busch has been the most dominant driver. 2 wins and 4 races. Mark Martin in the race today in the 32 car, the car that got him the win in Vegas. He, of course, has laid 8,000 some laps in this series. 1 week ago, Brad, we saw Kyle Busch become the first driver to top 10,000 laps.
Boy, that's absolutely incredible. As you talk about Mark Martin, though, as well. Just the icon of this sport, and Kyle Busch is on his way to passing that icon and becoming the new standard bearer in the National.
And if you like drama, here's something interesting. Both Kyle and Mark rolling off today on the same row.
Yeah, go get them right away. Go racing, boys.
Number 4. 43 cars in the field today. A lot going on down on the grid. All the pomp and circumstance that we normally see before the race. It's a bit brisk out there, but the weather has been consistent so far this weekend.
A little bit cool today. Should have those motors breathing, those engines sucking down some horsepower. Should be a good race.
Down on pit road, the woman who will be starting today's race. You may know her from a few movies. Brad, what do you think?
It was the Breakfast Club, but that was way before I was born.
Molly Ringwald. So let's now go trackside for pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise and remove your hats as the Chula Vista Fire Department Color Guard present our nation's colors. And now, would you please welcome Jeff Hamilton from Motor Racing Outreach as he delivers today's invocation.
Good afternoon. Let's pray together. Dear Heavenly Father, as we're here for today's race, we want to thank you for the life that you've given to us, For there are many others who are facing incredible challenges and even unsurmountable circumstances. On their behalf, we ask that your grace would sustain them, that your love would comfort them, and that hope would encourage them. I want to thank you for the staff and the sponsors who've made today's event possible. We ask for your protection over the drivers and the crew, as well as those who are defending freedom around the world. Now, may we know your peace and your presence. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing and welcome David Archuleta for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rang glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the
Ladies and gentlemen,
Best part of pre-race, the F-18 Hornets from China Lake, California. When we come back, 300 miles, 150 laps. It is race 5 of the season when we come back.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at California, presented by CiCi's Pizza, home of the endless pizza, pasta, salad, and dessert buffet. And in part by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at CodeSpotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences.
And welcome to the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Fontana, presented by CiCi's. We are getting ready to go for race 5 of this 2011 season. A little more than 10 minutes away from the green flag. Some familiar faces down on the grid. Mark Martin going for win number 50 in this series. And here's another familiar face, celebrity trainer Jillian Michaels. You know, she's famous for that drill sergeant, harsh approach in the gym. But Alan,
who's that old guy? Look at him huffing
I think Alan is quite familiar with that approach.
You should be ashamed. I hope you're ashamed of yourself. Did I say join your place? What part of don't ever
Alan, I would be bowing to you if I could, because you are a better person than me. I would have said no.
And he's got no shame.
Jillian left me breathless.
He is standing today, though. He is standing.
Yeah, still standing, not too sore. She did leave me breathless. It was a lot of fun. With Rusty Wallace and Andy Petrie ready for today's 300-mile race. That workout was stressful, and this can be a stressful race on the drivers and crew chiefs. Why?
It really can, because, Alan, this is the very first time that this brand-new design Nationwide car has been at this particular racetrack. Remember, folks, this is the new car. And in my mind, there are a lot of haves and have-nots. Some guys are good, some are bad. And you know what happens when that happens? You can get way, way behind, Andy, if your car's not right.
Yeah, and if you do get behind, it can put a lot of stress on the crew chief to try to do some things to try to catch back up. I mean, he needs to try to adjust the car to get it faster. If that doesn't work, he's got to try some other strategy plays, maybe taking 2 tires under caution, or maybe trying to go for that fuel mileage gamble. So it puts a lot of stress on the crew chiefs, too.
Because of the rules package the Nationwide Series uses, the engine's a little bit choked down on horsepower going through these big, wide corners. So momentum, the driver having to stay in the gas through the corners. Who does that make you think of?
That's a good one right there. I think of Mark Martin right off the bat. You talk about momentum. I mean, Mark Martin is the best to get in a car to run really, really fast with low horsepower. I watched him in the International Racer Champions cars that he's won so many races in and so many champions, and all his competitors will tell you Mark Martin is at the best of this style of racing.
Yeah, you're right. I do think of that when I think of Mark Martin. One thing you don't think about when you think about Mark Martin is fuel mileage. Really never thought of him as being one of those guys that could win a race that way, but he did at Las Vegas. The guy I think of is Carl Edwards when it comes down to that, and we might see that today.
I'm really intrigued by the things this race might hold out in front of us. Kyle Busch saying he's not as good as he might be. Mark Martin in the field in that formula that he's been so successful in. And, of course, the fight for the lead in all-time wins in this Nationwide Series. Heard from Mark a little while ago, yeah, it's inevitable. But you know if he's in this field, he wants another W to hold on to that record as long as he can. First and second at all-time wins, Kyle Busch, Mark Martin, and the other driver is going to fight it out right after Howie Mandel gives the command to get this thing going.
Race fans, it is time for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome the Royal Purple 300 Grand Marshal, host and executive producer of the new Fox special Mobbed, premiering Thursday night, March 31st at 9 p.m. on Fox, Howie Mandel.
Drivers, start your engines.
We have fire. Yeah, excuse me. Put gear on 10-fold.
All right, so we're ready to roll here in California, Southern California to be specific, at the Auto Club Speedway. Fontana, not all that far away from the hometown of that driver, the Nationwide Series Championship leader, Jason Leffler. He's our in-race reporter. We'll talk to the Southern California native when we come back. Get ready for the NASCAR Nationwide Series at California. Our coverage presented by CiCi's Pizza from the 2-mile Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. Field rolling off the pit lane and on to the track to begin their parade and pace laps. Starting lineup across the top of the screen. We will go racing very shortly. Have 8 onboard high-definition cameras for you to help with our coverage of today's race. They should provide us some great looks and abilities to listen through the center of the corners on this big track, as these guys have to really keep their foot in the gas. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with our Ford camera, Kyle Busch, the Z-Line Designs machine, Brad Keselowski, the American Tire Company camera, Reed Sorensen, the Nationwide Insurance cam, Justin Allgaier in the Brandt machine. Kevin Harvick's got the Chevrolet on board. Jason Leffler, the CiCi's Pizza camera, and Stephen Wallace with the 5-hour Energy camera. You'll get great rides around this track from all of those drivers throughout the day today. From pit road stories before we go racing today, we start with Shannon Spake. Hi, Shannon.
Hey there. Success here at Auto Club Speedway can be summed up with 3 little words. Joe Gibbs Racing. The team has won the last 6 races with 3 different drivers, and of course past winners Kyle Busch, Joey Logano in the field here today. While both crew chiefs told me they're still looking for a little bit of speed, Jason Radcliffe, crew chief for Kyle Busch, told me, quote, "We'll be just fine." Mike?
Well, one team that certainly has a legitimate shot at knocking Joe Gibbs Racing off its pedestal has to be Roush Fenway Racing. After all, there was a period of time between 2004 and 2007 where they were the dominant organization here, collecting 6 Nationwide Series wins. One driver who gave them victory at this track, that would be Carl Edwards, and he may give them the best chance this afternoon as well. He comes in on a streak of 6 consecutive top 5s here, and of course he's on the pole. I spoke with him moments ago, asked him how good the race car was. He said it's real good, and Dr. Jerry Punch, it's not what he said, but how he said it. Lots of confidence in his voice.
Exactly, Michael. You know, in long green flag runs here might turn this race into a fuel mileage contest. And the 2 keys there are how much gas your driver can save and how much gambling your crew chief wants to do. Now, we saw both extremes take place 3 weeks ago within the same team at Las Vegas. On that day, veteran Mark Martin stretched his final tank of fuel an extra 8 laps with the approval of his crew chief to win the race. Well, his young teammate, Reed Sorensen, had to pit 13 laps early because his crew chief was concerned about points. On that day, one strategy used to win the race and another used maybe to win a championship. Dave Burns.
And Doc, when talking fuel mileage, race engineers like to use the phrase, how good are your reads? Did you read
read your fuel mileage data accurately enough to predict just how much Sunoco E15 racing fuel your car is consuming this weekend. That's valuable information for the end of the race and perhaps a winning strategy. But don't forget that new fueling system the guys have been struggling with this year. It's 5 races in, and they'd better have that down by now. Now, down on pit road, we have Mark Hollywood Armstrong joining us today as our over-the-wall reporter. Hollywood, you're a front tire changer by trade, but you're going to show us something to watch with these fuel guys today?
Yes, sir, Dave. Thank you very much. Fans, one thing about this race, it normally presents itself with a lone green flag run. And it'll be during that round of pit stops that'll be very important for us to get as much as we can of this second can of fuel in. Something to watch for today on pit road will be how the teams change to help support the gas man to get the car full. And fans, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be exciting. And we're in Southern California, and you know they roll out the red carpet when you come here. And hey, we've got our own down here. Let's rock and roll, baby.
Had to get your own red carpet, Hollywood. There you go. Good job. Be safe down there. Have a great race. We'll watch that exchange of fuel cans on the pit stops through the day. Something else we'll watch, mentioned it during countdown, speeding penalties on pit road. Most in a race was in this race a year ago at this track. 12 of them, 10 of them speeding, exiting pit road.
This is a really long pit road, guys. It's one of the longest in NASCAR. And because of that, you're kind of lured into just kind of speeding down pit road. But, Andy, a lot of the guys got busted on the exit of pit road here 12 times last year.
Well, the reason they do is because there's so much to be lost. If you don't put your car speed right at the limit, you can lose a ton of time because of the length of pit road. So that's why you see so many people getting busted here.
So we'll keep an eye on the pit road speeding penalties and see what the tally is at the end of the day. By the way, Kyle Busch got a pit road speeding penalty and came back and won the race here in California last year. Let's look at our Goodyear track facts as we get set to go racing today. 2-mile track. It'll be 150 laps to make up the 300-mile distance, give or take. Green, white checkers at the end, which we have seen here before. And that pit window, that's going to vary during the day.
Well, and especially this first run, Alan, because they're not allowed to refuel after qualifying, so they've got a few laps of that out of the tank. And they also have the warm-ups, and these laps they're running right now, and they don't count against the lap. So we'll see those first stops happening, sometime before lap 40, probably 37, 38 laps.
And those first stops could be real important in my eyes, Andy. A lot of guys don't have these cars figured out yet. Remember, this is the new car at this racetrack the first time, and after the first run, 30 or 40 laps on the tires, they can really start working on the chassis, air pressure settings, wedge, track bar adjustments, whatever it's going to take to get this new car hooked up here in California.
I am really intrigued about this race by conversations I had down in the garage area with teams this morning. Kyle Busch, right? Guys won 4 of the last 5 here. Yet his team didn't feel like they had their car maybe exactly where they want it. You look at it and say, yeah, okay, it's Kyle Busch. They'll be there at the end. But that does create opportunity for other people.
It does, and it creates a challenge for Jason Radcliffe right here to get his car right. I expect him to be right up front. This is a difficult race surface to get a hold of. It's so bumpy. Even on the back straightaway, we'll see these cars bouncing like basketballs down the backstretch, and it really is hard to get a hold of. I'm sure they're going to get it, but it does. There's some guys that have already got a hold of the racetrack. Carl Edwards on the pole. Looks like he's chosen the outside for the start. You see Kevin Harvick up front.
And that Carl Edwards is the other guy that intrigues me. This is a brand new car for this race team. Did not run a lot of laps in practice, yet they feel good about it.
Yeah, he's got a lot of confidence, Alan. He really does. Every one of his interviews, he feels really good about it. But I will tell you, the rest of the competitors, I hear some hesitation in their voice, a lot of uncertainty out there. And Andy hit the nail on the head a little while ago. This track is really rough. The cars are bouncing all over, and it's hard to get a good handle on your car under those conditions.
And yet it's a track where you got to keep your foot in the gas through the corner. If you're the driver, the tires fall off during the day. Conditions are going to change. There's just a lot going on in this race that really has me intrigued, and it's going to be fun to find out who's going to win. So here they come. 43 drivers, 300 miles. Pace car is off. Molly Ringwald is going to wave the green flag when she gets that tap on the shoulder from the NASCAR official right now. Look at them spreading out all over the place.
This is a really wide racetrack, but off of turn 2, guys, this track really flattens out and makes for a really ill-handling car. But you can see those cars just jumping all over the place. Look at that 22 car, Brad Keselowski, Andy, just jumping up and down. Real rough racetrack, like you said earlier.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just on the straightaway it is, and it's also like that in the corners. 1 and 2, they got a big bump going into turn 1. That's a real challenge for the teams. Got a 3-wide battle right here.
That's Reed Sorensen down low, the orange car, the 30. Trevor Bayne up in the middle. High side, little bump drafting going on there. Mark Martin in the yellow car and Brad Keselowski in the 22.
We see Kevin Harvick on top side of the track. He was real happy with this car. He qualified second, building a lot more confidence in this team. But, you know, we talked earlier about momentum. These engines don't have near as much power as the Cup cars do. They got to keep these things wound up. And Harvick so far has got that going.
You see a big difference in the line. Carl Edwards right down almost against the white line. Harvick able to hold him off.
So Harvick, Edwards, then Aric Almirola in the red and yellow car. That's the 88 running third. Dipping a little farther back, side by side. Mark Martin, the yellow car, 32, outside of Justin Allgaier in the 31. That's going to be for 9th and 10th.
See Jason Luffler down there in the orange number 30 car, hugging the bottom of the racetrack, trying to make it happen. And Mark Martin up in the 32 car. Mark's a guy we've been talking about a lot, who understands this race, is probably going to be really good at this style of racing in this car.
Edwards for the lead, inside of Harvick. But here comes that high run off of 4. Carl's got him there.
Now, this is something I've really been interested in. A lot of the drivers have been telling me that the draft, like Talladega and Daytona, really is coming into play here at this particular track, guys.
Yeah, and the reason it is this car it's got a lot more frontal area. It's a bigger race car than they've raced here before, and that creates more opportunities for drafting, and they will draft up to each other on the straightaways. We see Carl get a little bit loose there off the corner. Now you see some momentum coming for Harvick. That's where the draft comes in. You can see once he gets right to Carl, he actually gets Carl a little push.
It's like he gets right up to him, and that's all he can do. But seems like they gain from the exit of the corner to the mid straightaway area.
Martin moving forward around Josh Wise in the 7th.
Strange.
Yeah.
Let's see, Mark Martin moved to the front in a nationwide race.
You know, we saw Carl Edwards with that big bounce and wobble. We'll see that a lot on a lot of these cars in this field today. The teams, a lot of the teams were trying to get the right rear of the car to stay under them, exiting the corner. Seem to be giving them a fit in this combination of car, tire, and track.
It's like Carl's struggling with rear grip. Now Harvick getting a run on the inside. Saw Harvick on the outside earlier. Let's see what he can do down low.
Like they're swapping positions. See Harvick on the bottom, now Carl on the top. Just trying to see which one's better on the top and the bottom of the track. And right now in an early going, you just got to go where your car is the best at. And this is a crapshoot. It's going to be a tough deal today because they've never been here with this new car like we talked earlier.
Third lead change of the race. Probably not going to be the last. Here's Carl looking low.
But they'll linger behind her, Alan. See Aric Almirola really catching these guys right now. He's looking good in that 88 junior car. Dale Jr. owns that team, and this is probably one of the best performances I've seen out of this guy all year long. He's looking good right now. He's qualified well.
All the way down on the apron for Edwards. Searching for grip, searching for momentum.
And when you're out there in this track, it just seems so wide. All the races I've ran here, and I've won one time here, I'll never forget it's a 2-mile track, a lot of mile per hour in the front straightaway, close to 200 miles per hour. And when you get down in the corner, you can run dead on the bottom or dead on the top, and it's like, Andy, the area in the middle of the track, there's not much grip there.
Yeah, I don't understand that. You saw that right there. You could driven a truck between them in the middle of the corner because they were using these big, lane swings. See, Carl just not able to quite get clear of Harvick down the bottom. Looks like he's making a good charge this time.
He drove that in deep, didn't he?
Look at the difference in lines. You can put 4 cars between them.
Caution.
Yellow's out. Just wave them off here.
Debris on the front straightaway will bring the caution out for the first time at the end of the 7th lap of this race. And so the field will slow to the pace speed of 60 miles an hour, and there it is.
Now that's a piece of caution, piece of debris you want the caution for. That's metal, that's aluminum, and that's something that can definitely blow a tire out, cause a big problem. And Andy, I got to believe that somebody has lost a tire or something to cause this problem.
Yeah, I just kind of wonder where that came from.
Out of the inner panel, out of the back of the car?
That's what it looks like. Looks like one of the inner fenders. Maybe out of this
Reports are it came off of Derek Cope's car, this 28 machine. So
have to look at it when he gets there.
That the reason for caution number 1 in this race.
We're going to lose a lap.
Oh, yeah,
right rear
tire.
There we go.
Shannon? All right, get back to Shannon in just a minute. So getting ready to see if there are any takers on pit road in this opening go-round here, as caution out early in this race.
Yeah, too early for the leaders, I would think, at this point, but we'll probably see some back markers come in, trying to get a little heads up on the strategy, maybe on the fuel.
55-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit. Remember that the pit road speed runs from yellow line to yellow line. The yellow line at pit entrance to the yellow line at pit exit.
Well, looks like Carl's going to come down pit road.
Well, I'll tell you, this is a perfect time for two right-side tires if you're in the back to get up to the front. Shannon.
Well, Joey Logano on his way down, guys, right now. He says he is a little bit tight, but he is a lot better up top on the track. They are not going to take tires at this time, make a small adjustment and some fuel.
Raising the hood on Logano's.
We see him raising the front end up. It's like the splitter's bottoming out. And then they got to get that front of that car.
Take a half round out of the left rear.
Yeah, they put some rounds in the front and then taking some out of the rear. And the reason they do that is to try to raise that front end up.
What's going on there? Timmy Hill missed his pit stall. Dave?
Yeah, he had no speed going down the front straightaway. Loose off, no side or forward bite. He said, just fill me up with fuel. Let's make a wedge adjustment and see if I can get some speed back in this race car.
Had about 15 cars did not pit under the caution. So Carl Edwards first off, but he's going to be pretty deep in line for this restart that'll come early on in today's race, presented by CiCi's Pizza from California. Coming to the restart here at California. Our coverage today presented by CiCi's Pizza of the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Kevin Harvick, Averick Almirola on the front row. Carl Edwards, first off pit lane, is in 16th position for the restart. And here we go. To me, like that 88 car spun the tires for a second on that inside line. One going around. 03 car, Alex Kennedy.
No yellow.
Looks like he gathered back up and no caution flag. We're still under green right now. These guys just kept getting it on up in the front of the pack and did slow up a bit.
Yeah, you were talking about the 88 car spinning the tires on the start.
It looked like he spun the tires for a second, but then he got hooked up and got going and just went right by Harvick. Look at this. That's for 8th, 9th, and 10th spots.
I'll tell you what, guys, Andy was talking a little while ago, and I got to agree with him. I just wonder if that was the wrong decision for Carl Edwards to hit pit road. And it's like the rest of them did what he did. They just hit down pit road. And
yeah, he brought a bunch of people with him, but I just don't think that was a good. I don't agree with the strategy there to come in and just get fuel, because later when these cars, the only way that pays off is if you run a long green flag run and they start making pit stops, but then you have to pit when they do or you'll lose too much time on tires. So I just don't know that was the right call. I like the call of staying out like Harvick did.
Well, he's going to find out how good his car is coming back through the field anyway.
Well, yeah, he will know that. Because he will come back to the front.
I know that's really reaching for the optimistic side of it, but you know.
Hey, look, guys, the early signs of this race really shows that, in my opinion, that Kevin Harvick has really got this thing going. He's on the top side of turn 2. Really rocking and rolling right now. I mean, his lap times are definitely the fastest of anybody out there.
Well, he just blew right by Almirola.
And then the car's just hopping over that bump at the end of the back straightaway.
I just really like watching these guys on the top side of the track. Look up to 11 car, Brian Scott. I mean, these engines are so much freer. They really get running on the top side. Look like I got 100 more horsepower. Hey, Mike, what's a 60 car saying?
Well, he's pretty happy with the race car, but there was some concern before the race began. I spoke with his crew chief, Mike Beam, and he was just looking at the sky, looking at the cloud cover and saying, wow, I really thought the sun was going to come out. He was counting on that because he figured the track would get a little bit slicker and the car would get a little bit more free. Instead, he was a little bit concerned the car was too tight. So in addition to just taking fuel that last time down, they also made a track bar adjustment, just trying to free the car up so it wasn't too tight over a long run.
Maybe that's why he made the pit stop, is just to make a chassis adjustment early here to see how that works.
Edwards restarted 16th. Was up to 8th, now taking another spot, make that 7th as he goes by Brian Scott in the 11.
Hey, guys, just amazing. I tell him that I think it's a wrong call, and he just proves us all wrong, just comes rocketing through the field. He does it every time, but he said earlier he likes this track. His car is one of the best out here. Very, very confident going into this race, Carl Edwards was.
Looking back at the 20 car, Joey Logano. One of the guys we expected to be up front. He's not up front, Shannon.
Yeah, and actually this is what the guys pulled out of the left side of that nose. Joey Logano came down pit road, said that he felt something strange obviously happening with his car. They took a look at it, diagnosed it. There was a hole in the nose. He ran over this on the track. So you guys take a look at his car. There is some tape there. Obviously started all the way back in the back of the field, but he's slowly starting to move his way back right now.
Logano back in 29th position. Worst finish here, 6th in all of his Nationwide Series races. Got some work to do to get there. Here's his teammate Kyle Busch doing a little work to get second spot.
Yeah, what Shannon says makes sense now with Logano saying the problems he had. Just kind of slow, not enough grip. I mean, that could just be the hole in the nose causing some of that.
You know, talking about trying to get the cars handling, well, we watched Kyle Busch, an 18 car. I mean, he struggled with this car in practice and worked really hard, and now he's up to second position. See Brad Keselowski up there working that top lane. These guys are all bottled up right here. Carl Edwards, Mark Martin, Brad Keselowski. There's Ricky Stenhouse. Probably the tightest running group right here, right now.
Edwards continuing to march forward. From that onboard looked like Mark was going to be a whole lot closer to him than he was.
Yeah, and he's working that middle lane we were talking about, that no man's land that we saw earlier. He's the one that's trying that lane out now. Looks like it's working.
Whoa.
You know, Andy, you watch this new car run around the track, see it bounce, and that splitter in the very front. I mean, that thing is so critical. Everybody's always talking about it. Some of the guys are grinding it off. Some of the guys have got spare splitters behind the pit boxes.
Yeah, this track here, by being so bumpy, it makes it really hard to get that thing set right without having it grind off. And it has been a challenge for the teams.
And if it grinds off, the only thing you can do is change it under caution or something, right?
Oh, yeah, it kills you, too. Yeah, they lean on that splitter for all the front downforce.
Splitter's made out of like a plastic material. And a lot of times we'll see some guys smoking out there and we'll go, what's wrong? And it's a splitter hitting the track.
You saw Carl Edwards go right by Mark Martin, but now Mark's staying with him pretty well. I just wonder if maybe Mark learned something from Carl when he passed him.
Tell you what, if I was any driver, I'd be looking at Mark Martin and Carl Edwards going, what are they doing? I'm just going to follow and learn for a little bit and try to tutor myself something for later in this race.
6 laps from 16th to 4th for Carl Edwards after the pit stop. But he finds himself 3 seconds behind the guy he was in front of at the caution flag. Kevin Harvick, the double 3 is out in front here in California, presented by CiCi's Pizza.
10-10.
And we come back to California under caution for the second time. Jennifer Jo Cobb in the 41 car went for a spin off of turn number 4. And you see the Rick Ware Racing team working on that car. Here's a look at it.
Looks like that car just stepped out from underneath her. Might have got loose. The car behind her was awful close to her. Sometimes they make it Tony Raines in a 52 car.
See that splitter we're talking about getting in the grass. Digging it up a little.
And so we work the second yellow flag and see Carl Edwards' team back up on the wall again. And everybody going to probably get a little more work done. Question is, if you're that 60, what do you do this time?
Well, they'll take tires. He didn't take any tires the last time. I'd say he would probably make a pit stop here.
And this is a good time now for the guys kind of mid-pack to take 2 tires, get some track position.
Yeah, this is an opportunity because it's a fairly short run that they've made, 19 laps on tires so far. Not all of that's under green, so it would be an opportunity.
Here they come on pit road on the 20th lap, Shannon.
Well, Elliott Sadler still riding some momentum from that great finish last weekend at Bristol. Right now, he's looking for a little bit of side bite in this number 2 car. They are going to make a pretty significant track bar adjustment. They're going to go 3 rounds down on this number 2 car, and they are going to take 4 tires. Dave.
Ryan Scott had fallen back to 10th position. They're going to make a track bar adjustment and air pressure adjustment. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. They're going to try to secure the back end of that car a little bit. Doc.
Kevin Harvick very happy with his car. 4 tires for Harvick. Tape on the left front of the grill. It's running a little bit too cool at 190 degrees. Mike.
And Mike Beam going to continue to tune on the 60 car. They're going to lower the track bar 1 full round. 4 tires on the 60 car. And they'll fill it up with Sunoco race fuel as well. Edwards away.
Look who's going to come out with the top 2 spots. Kyle Busch got out ahead of Mark Martin. Reed Sorensen was long since gone before that. Didn't even see him exit the pit lane. He's already back on the racetrack as the new leader. NASCAR Nationwide Series on the West Coast this week in Fontana, just east of that Hollywood famous sign. Going racing in the early laps of today's 300-miler at the Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. Had a couple of spins, had a couple of bumps, no crashes so far. Under caution for the second time in this race and still working that yellow flag. Our aerial coverage today is brought to you by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Everything we've learned making tires for one of racing's most grueling proving grounds inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Been talking about the bumps in the track, the splitter on the new Nationwide Series car, and trying to make those two work together. Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech Garage can give us a little show and tell. Tim?
Thanks, Alan. One of the most important aspects of racing is aerodynamics. Getting the splitter as close as you can to the ground makes the car run extremely fast, especially at this racetrack. But this is the installed height of a spring once you put it in the car. But when it's going down a straightaway under downforce and through the corners, it's riding like this. That's the reason the cars are bumping around. That's the reason this splitter has to be extremely tough. It's made out of Tegris. It's a polyplastic. Look at these holes right here. That's actually shot with a 357 Magnum. I've always told Rusty, these things are tough. They're bulletproof, but sometimes they be, when they hit the ground, they're not race car proof. Guys?
All right, Tim, thanks. And certainly get a workout here in California today. Getting ready to go back racing in another lap. Want to remind you that tomorrow, the Sprint Cup Series is going to run here in California. NASCAR now has pre-race coverage for you, 11 a.m. Eastern Time here on ESPN2. And then it is the season opener for the Eyes on IndyCar Series, the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Will Power on the pole. Dario Franchitti will share the front row. Double file restarts for the first time in the IndyCar Series. Tomorrow, ABC at 12:30 Eastern. Drag racing, the SummitRacing.com NHRA Nationals qualifying is tonight at 7 Eastern ESPN2. The finals Sunday at 4:30 Eastern ESPN2. And then the Nationwide Series after next weekend off. Races on a Friday night. That's different this year. Under the lights in Texas. A Blythe 8 Eastern Time on ESPN2. That's the motorsports calendar. Reed Sorensen was the first one off pit road. Shannon, what'd they do?
Well, he opted to take fuel only and a slight adjustment, no tires. And Alan, that's part of their strategy. He told his crew chief, do not leave me old tires for the end of this race. I need to have fresh tires. So you take a look. He has 4 sets left down here, 3 stickers, 1 scuff, and it's all part of strategy towards the end of this race.
Well, you know, this track is tire sensitive. And if you have an extra set of tires at the end of the race, it can pay off.
Oh, yeah, but another thing I wouldn't want to do, though, is get too far behind because this is such a big track. Yeah, now. I mean, I'd want to get up front as much as I possibly could. Don't get hung in the back.
One car did not pit. The yellow car on the inside, the 39. That's the race leader. That's Charles Lewandowski, 25-year-old from Stafford Springs, Connecticut. He's inside of Sorensen as we restart and on older tires. Oh, here we go. Wow. Mark Martin through to the lead.
That really cost Kyle that momentum.
Here comes Edwards to the outside.
Looks like Kevin Harvick got hit on his right rear quarter panel by Reed Sorensen there. Or maybe it's because Jason Leffler kind of bumped into him. Let's see if there's any damage on that car.
Trouble off turn 4. Steve Wallace. They have had so much rain around here that grass is soft, and it just dug into that splitter.
Yeah, it's kind of destroyed the lower half of that front fascia.
Yeah, they're going to have a lot of work in that car to get that splitter fixed, because that is a lot of metal work behind it. It's going to take a lot to get it pushed out, get the handling back in that car.
The splitter bar.
Yeah, a little frustration behind the wheel. Steve was running 14th at the time. What happened?
We kind of just pushed up into Stenhouse.
It's 3 wide coming off the corner. It's just they lose the handle, they lose the downforce, and that drainage ditch right in the middle of the track caught the front of the car. Right.
Oh yeah. Huh.
should start rolling, spinning inside of you. Keep coming, no caution. Keep coming. You're all clear. Shoe right inside, all clear.
Just doesn't take much.
You see the radio pan fell off the car as he came in, the very bottom of it.
Yeah, they're going to have a lot of trouble getting that pulled out, like I said, because it's so reinforced under there. Doc, what are they doing?
Well, 4 tires, and you obviously see the damage on the front of the car. They're going to use a bar. They're going to try to use a splitter bar to try to pry some of the splitter out. But right now, they're just trying to get clearance for the tires, working on the right front and the left front. Seems to be the left front is more bent in and more damaged back as they use a sledgehammer there to be able to try to pull that back away. Taking their time. And Stephen Wallace had told me before we got in the car today, very optimistic because of back-to-back top 10 finishes here in the last 2 spring events. So obviously disappointed here with the spin and the damage at the front of the car, trying to get it repaired and get 4 tires on it here under caution at Auto Club Speedway.
You can see just how tough that reinforcement is.
Now it goes from being the day that you want racing for the win to just try to salvage a decent points day. That's not the position you want to be in early in the going here in California. Kind of a stop-and-go start to today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race here in Southern California. 3 cautions in the opening 24 laps of the race. The most recent, but a 3-wide race for position off of turn number 4. Got a little sideways for Stephen Wallace. Now, if this restart's anything like the last one, it could be exciting.
Yeah, it looks here. You see here, Reed Sorenson paying the price for not having tires on that last restart.
Sorenson had taken just fuel only on his car, and some of the guys with fresher tires went around him on both sides. And now Sorenson finds himself back in 11th position. It is Mark Martin in the yellow 32 who is the leader to the outside of Carl Edwards in the white car. And here we go.
I really like to watch these restarts. It's kind of an indicator on who's got the best motor. So right there, Carl Edwards pulling ahead of Mark Martin. It's like that Ford engine running pretty good today.
It was interesting, though. Aric Almirola was kind of pushing him off into that corner, and Mark Martin didn't have anybody pushing him. We're wondering how much bump drafting we might see.
Look
at that. Trevor Bayne outside in the white 16.
See just how rough it is.
And through the middle, Kevin Harvick.
The center part of the racetrack is what we're real concerned about. I mean, this racetrack, you're carrying so much speed in the center of the corner. You got to get down there and hook the bottom of the track or really carry a lot of momentum to the top side. And the center part of the track is really where you don't want to be.
I think that drafting thing, Alan, is really big. I saw Mark Martin make a big move to the outside just so he could get out in line with the rest of the cars. Kind of left Harvick hung down on the bottom. You kind of see it right here, how they close up on the straightaway, just using that draft.
Challenge there on Harvick. Trevor Bayne to his inside. Here comes Kyle Busch to the bottom.
Talked about Kyle Busch, how he struggled in practice. Qualified pretty good, but really struggled. Worked harder than we've ever seen him work on a car. But these pit stops have really helped to get this car hooked back up and get it where he wants it.
And you talked about during Countdown, Rusty, about, oh, look at that move. The feedback Kyle gives to his team in a situation where you're in the race and your car isn't handling the way that you want it to. That's when it becomes so critical for that driver to help his team make the car better.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of good crew people to support Kyle, but he is incredible about just pointing him in the right direction and not taking no for an answer and saying, this is what I want. This is the corner where the problem is. Fix this corner. And that is great feedback for a crew chief, I would think.
He's absolutely the best at that, and it does make the job of the crew chief a lot easier when you got a driver that's really directing you, to where you need to go, where the weaknesses are. And Kyle is so talented, he can find those weaknesses before a lot of drivers do.
What are you hearing about the 18 from the team, Doc?
Well, you guys are talking about the great feedback that Kyle gives Jason Ratcliffe, his crew chief, and what they have learned and what they learned at Bristol last week is, although Kyle will tell you he's so able to read the car in terms of being loose in, tight in the middle, loose off, but what Jason also understands by looking at a stopwatch, if Kyle was running faster laps than anyone on the racetrack, Jason says, look, Kyle, you're so quick and you're getting quicker. Let's not touch it. I know you got issues, you got problems, but why touch it and make it worse, knowing when not to adjust the car? Very important here now with this new Nationwide Series machine.
Interesting. Well, right now, Kyle Busch has worked his way up to third, running behind Kevin Harvick. Side by side here, Reed Sorenson 30, and the 19 car of Mike Bliss. A little farther back in the field. This is for 15th place.
If you have a long green flag stretch here, this is going to really come back to haunt this team not taking tires that last stop.
30 car, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Sorensen.
Yep. Just behind them, Josh Wise in the 7. Josh is from Riverside, California, just up the street here, and was really excited to have a good, solid qualifying run and have a chance to have a good performance in front of some family that doesn't normally get to see him race in person.
Mike Bliss having a good run.
Yep.
Yeah, Mike in the 19 car, he's really shown a lot of improvement with this team. Looks like it's getting better and better. There's Harvick again on the top side of that track. Loves it up there. You know, guys, one thing I've been noticing, that these black strips on this track, the tar marks where the banking angles come together, Andy, it looks like it's getting, you know, more pronounced as the years go on. And some of the drivers have told me when they touch that, it really upsets the car. They try to straddle that or else run above it.
You know, one of the things we talked about, how stressful this track can be on a driver and an engine, is how much time the driver has to stay in the throttle. Listen to Kyle Busch as he goes through turns 1 and 2.
See, just using a ton of throttle and getting a little bit loose off of turn 2. Look up ahead, you see Harvick. He's actually running Carl Edwards down now.
Yeah, this racetrack is so big. You know, as a driver, you're out there, it's a 2-mile track, and you drive it off in the corner, and when you finally clear cars after a restart, it just feels gigantic out there.
Yeah.
You're picking the throttle up, and the car is either pushing for a long time or loose for a long time. It's a fun track to drive when the car is running great, but boy, when it's not handling right, it is a pain.
Kevin Harvick trying to close in on Carl Edwards for the race lead. Looking ahead from Harvick at Edwards. His 33 team has had its share of difficulties to start this season so far.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, they really got it rolling today. That car looks really good, and Harvick working that top side. And I don't know what they're doing different here, but they sure are rolling really good today, Doc.
Andy, they are. You know, Kevin Harvick, when he finished 28th in Las Vegas 3 weeks ago, he was very angry. He said it wasn't a good week to be a KHI employee. He said, I'm going to make some major changes before California. And now as he looks down beneath the car of Carl Edwards, what Kevin Harvick did, he changed 4 key people. He came here with a new car chief, a new engineer, a new tire specialist. We're about to have a new leader, by the way, as Kevin Harvick goes by. And also, they went to the 7-post rig, and they changed their front-end settings. And what he said was, we are going to make a different kind of spring setup in the front. And Kevin hanging on. Kevin said it's a much rougher ride, but it's a much faster ride they have here today.
He had his hands full there.
He is having a handful with it, but it does work. I mean, the car is fast. I think, you know, once Kevin kind of gets a feel for it and he can keep it under him, he's going to be going straight to the front.
Well, I tell you, Doc hit the nail on the head right there when he said it's rougher but faster. I mean, you see him just jump on all over. I can't remember seeing these cars in a long time, Andy, where they've jumped around on the track as much as they're doing today.
I watched him right through that corner, Rusty. He was straddling that seam that we see. He's not running across it. You saw Edwards kind of running in the corner, kind of running across those seams. Looks like Harvick has been really committed to really kind of straddling that. You see him kind of running just his line through the corner.
Watching the race for the lead in the Royal Purple 300, Carl Edwards 60, Kevin Harvick 33. Mike, what are they saying in the 60 pit?
Well, Alan, remember how I told you at the beginning of the race Mike Beam was concerned about the cloud cover? Well, look at the sky now. It looks like the sun's trying to poke through, and suddenly Carl has radioed in saying, I could be a little bit tighter. Remember, they made a couple of track bar adjustments to loosen him up, and maybe he's just a tick too loose now.
Moving target. These race cars are.
Oh, yeah, and with that sun going in and out, and it's just barely trying to peek through, that can really change things.
Harvick with a good run off of turn number 2, and he's going to go out front.
Made it look easy.
Well, you see him running right between those black marks. He's trying to hold it real steady and only cross it when he's got to. But I know we've wore this thing out talking about running on the top of the track, trying to keep it wound up. But these engines have got so much less power than these Cup guys. The key is to stay in the throttle all you can. You know, a guy like Jimmy Johnson, who's running the Cup Series, he really doesn't enjoy running the Nationwide Series because the driving style is so much different. Because you got to do that with the throttle.
Saw third place change hands. Trevor Baynes giving the thumbs up out the window to Kyle Busch after he got by him for that spot. Kevin Harvick out in front here in California. Our coverage presented by CiCi's Pizza.
The IZOD IndyCar Series kicks off tomorrow on ABC at 12:30 from St. Petersburg, Florida. Will Power is on the pole. Dario Franchitti will start second. Here in Southern California, Kevin Harvick is your leader in the 33 car. He's nice battle today with Carl Edwards.
Kevin's doing a great job. He's obviously got his race program stepped back up after last week. He's led 21 laps, doing a great job. Carl Edwards is fast, but the guy also trudging to the front is Elliott Sadler. He's up to 6th spot after he's up 28 spots at the start of the race. Started in the back. He's got a good run going.
Far and away, he is the biggest mover of this race. And for more on Sadler, here's Shannon Spake.
Well, for Elliott Sadler, he said coming into this season, he needed one good race, one uneventful race to get it started. And according to Sadler, that came last week at Bristol.
I think it showed how much depth our race team has, where we had a tire failure during practice and killed our primary car. Had to go to a bag up, qualified good, ran good all day. So I think Bristol was a great statement for our race team.
And guys, this has been a weekend of struggles for this number 2 team. They qualified 34th for today's race. When they unloaded, they were so tight they couldn't make a full run on this car until about an hour into practice. They put on Kevin Harvick's setup and they've been fighting loose all day. He's getting ready to crack that top 5. Doc?
And behind him, the 88 car of Eric Almirola. Eric picking up his very first top 10 of the year last week at Bristol, Tennessee. Eric said, they thought they were going to be a major contender here today. He is listed as being a winner at Milwaukee back 3 years ago, driving for Joe Gibbs. Eric says, I didn't win that race because Denny Hamlin was driving the car when the checkered flag waved. My first win will come here today, and I will take Junior Motorsports and Pops Uri back to victory lane. Mike.
Talking to Brad Keselowski's crew chief, Todd Gordon, earlier this week, and you got a little bit of a sense of frustration, perhaps going through a little bit of growing pains. Remember, Todd Gordon had been paired up with Jason Keller for the majority of his career. In fact, probably started about 150 races with Keller. He's only had 5 now with Brad Keselowski, and they're still trying to learn each other. And one of the problems they've tried to overcome, right front tire problems, feels like they've got a pretty good handle on it, but they're concentrating on it very closely throughout the course of the weekend. Behind Keselowski, another young driver in the likes of Ricky Stenhouse. Now, Stenhouse, a year ago, struggled a bit. I talked to his crew chief, Mike Kelly, just before the race started, and he said he has developed tremendously over the last 12 months. Mostly because he's become more of an intelligent race car driver. A year ago, he was aggressive every lap, every race. This time, though, he's more smart about it. He knows when to race and where to race, and because of that, the results are showing. He's finishing a lot more races right now, and the results are on par with what they expect. Dave?
Mike, in 10th position rides Brian Scott. They've improved his car a little bit now, just a little tight from the center off. Brian's with a new team this year, Joe Gibbs Racing, and I asked him about it. Why are they so good? He said they do their homework, they translate meaningful data well, and they're prepared for all scenarios. I haven't seen anything yet that they haven't been ready for. Right now, trying to keep him in the top 10. He started 11th today. Right behind him, the 31 of Justin Allgaier. Earlier, he radioed that driving the car harder actually made it better. I asked crew chief Jimmy Elledge about that. I said, Jimmy, he's not driving through something he shouldn't be, should he? He said, no, actually, the car sets down better when he does that. And so Justin trying to drive as aggressively as he can to keep that car in the racetrack where he wants to. Our in-race reporter, Jason Leffler in the 38 car. He's been struggling a little bit today so far. On the first run, the car was running cool, so they added tape to it. It was still a little bit loose off. He's still free in and off right now in the center of the corner. It just doesn't want to turn for him.
Well, every driver has that one track where they just get it. And for Joey Logano, this is that track. He's finished top 6 in all 5 of his starts, including a win. Unfortunately for Logano here today, he's been battling the hole that he had in the nose earlier in the race. They did tape it up, but it's caused some tight conditions. They said they're going to make a pretty big swing at this adjustment when they bring it down pit road next time. Alan?
All right, Shannon, thanks. That is up to speed with Nationwide Insurance, taking you a little deeper into the field with how some of the drivers are faring in what is still the early going of this race. We're just a third of the distance complete. Top 5 somewhat spread out at the moment. Trevor Bayne, the Daytona 500 winner, looking for his first NASCAR Nationwide Series victory. He's running third. Carl Edwards, who started on the pole, running in second spot. He's chasing Kevin Harvick, the race leader. NASCAR Nationwide Series Royal Purple 300 from California, coming your way live on ESPN. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Looking at the race leader, Kevin Harvick, who just became the third driver in the NASCAR Nationwide Series to reach 7,000 laps led. The other two, Mark Martin and Kyle Busch. It is Harvick out in front of Carl Edwards by just under 2 seconds at this point, approaching another set of pit stops. Now, the aforementioned Kyle Busch is running in third. He took that spot away from Trevor Bayne just a minute ago. And then Kyle mentioned his car maybe not being as good as he'd like it to be and what kind of feedback he gives his team. Well, this was Kyle's radio a few minutes ago.
Trying to get more out of the car going down to the bottom of the racetrack. I'm getting loose. Center exit over all the seams. It's just the seams that are messing me up.
After he said that, he started running a different line. We see this. He's running extremely high now, all the way against the wall. And that's what I love about Kyle Busch. They haven't touched this race car. They haven't been down pit road. They haven't had to do anything to it. He changed his line now, and I've watched this monitor for the last 5 laps in a row. He's the fastest car on the racetrack.
So he knows the bumpiness is a problem. The seams are a real problem for him. He's trying to negotiate that. He's probably one of the highest running tracks on top of the racetrack, the groove he's running I'm talking about, than any car out there right now. He's about a foot off the wall trying to clear that seam, so he's got just good grip on this car. But that's a pretty treacherous area to be running that high.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't run that lane until, well, you know, some cars clean it off. We saw it just a little bit ago right here.
Kyle was the one who cleaned it off.
We'll see the one that's going to clean it off.
Watch all the dust and dirt fly from underneath his car when he gets high up there.
Look at that. Now he's got it cleaned off and he's going to the front.
That last lap, 0.3 faster than the leader, Kyle Busch was, Doc.
Exactly. We saw this scenario in both races here a year ago, Alan. Kyle Busch didn't lead the most laps in either race, but he won them both. He spent most of those races searching for a better place to run. Again, last year, worried about how bad the seams were upsetting his car. And last fall here, guess what? Kevin Harvick led the most laps, but it was Kyle Busch who went to victory lane.
Kevin Harvick on that race where he led the most laps had a hiccup on the late pit stop, which helped Kyle Busch. And of course, you know, Kyle is no slouch at this racetrack. Joe Gibbs Racing has won 6 consecutive at this speedway. The 18 pit crew has been one of the best on pit road in this series the last several years. They're about to get another chance to show off what they can do as we come up on another set of green flag pit stops.
Tell you what, we talked about cars. If they're not handling right, this racetrack is so big. If you're off just a little bit, you can get way behind really quick. And Andy, the top 3 cars are running very close to the same speed, but 4th, 5th, 6th on down, I mean, almost a half a second off the leaders.
Yeah, if you look all the way back to just 9th spot, Brad Keselowski's 15 seconds plus behind the leader.
This is 11th and 12th. Justin Allgaier and Jason Leffler, 31 and 38. 18 seconds in back of Kyle Busch. And about to both pick up a spot, Ryan Scott. They are way up high in that 11 car.
You see Jason Leffler was right on the apron. Actually, on the apron, not up on the track at all. I saw Carl Edwards doing that a little bit too, trying to find any grip that's out there. I mean, it's pretty cool here in Southern California today in the mid-60s, but the track's still real slick. Dave, what's going on?
Well, Rusty, you noticed Justin Allgaier way down there on the apron. His car is so free off the corner. He's trying to put it there to correct the handling of it. They've talked about major adjustments to try to tighten up that car on exit, but is that what you would do if you had to make a shot at it like that?
Well, I think I'd just run anywhere on the racetrack where my car is stick the very best. A lot of times if you're loose and you get up top of the track, that's better. But sometimes if you're slipping and sliding, you go to the top, you'll hit the wall. So you want to give yourself an out. Try to hook it on the bottom of the track, I call it. Get all the grip you can, and we're seeing quite a few guys do that, Dave.
Good race for position here. 39 car, Charles Lewandowski, is not on the lead lap. He's in 25th place, 1 lap down. The other 3 cars in the picture there, all racing for that spot. And all 3 championship-eligible drivers in the Nationwide Series. Leffler, 38, the championship leader starting the day. First time in his career he's been the leader in this Nationwide Series where the championship's concerned.
I'll tell Yeah, I like seeing that too. I mean, it's nice to see a Nationwide regular up there in the front, leading these championships. Take a look at these points.
Of course, with NASCAR's new system, the 43-1 scoring plus the bonus points, the difference between points very tight, and the swings seem to be a lot quicker to happen. It's going to take a year or two to really see how that change in the scoring is going to play out, big picture, but so far it swings pretty quickly. Green flag pit stops have begun. 22, Brad Keselowski, the first of the leaders to make his way down the pit lane, Mike.
And Brad Keselowski saying he's a little bit tight on throttle. Crew Chief Todd Gordon going to make a significant chassis adjustment. They're going to raise the track bar a round and a half. At least that was the plan over the radio. Now you can see the wrench going in. 4 tire change as well. The 22 car right side service has been complete, and they've jacked up the left side and go to work there. Shannon?
Well, Reed Thornton does need some mild adjustments on this car. The biggest thing, though, is he needs 4 fresh tires. He has been on those tires for a while, so they're going to give him 4 new ones. He says it's been like a wasp nest out there, just cars flying around him everywhere, and that right rear is completely used up.
And remember, as you watch these pit stops, what Hollywood Armstrong told us, our over-the-wall reporter, watch the exchange between the first and trouble. Rest of the stops are going to come under caution. 81 car, Blake Cook, has shed a right front. And I don't know whether that was before or after contact with the wall.
Terrible break, though, for Keselowski.
Stay up, kick it down as soon as you can.
And Sorensen making those green flag stops. Ryan Truex making his way down pit road. Don't know if he stopped or not. He may have just kept going after the caution came out.
So this the 4th caution of the race.
Check your brake.
Well, there's your answer.
Blows the right front tire off and up in the wall. These Goodyear tires are pretty doggone durable, too. I haven't seen anybody blistering tires or eating up the inside edges like we see at some other racetracks. Just must have ran over a piece of debris and caused that one.
Is the wheel straight or not? The wheel is straight. I push the brake and it shoots to the left.
Might be missing a good part of the right front brake.
Yeah, when you hit the wall that hard, Alan, it can break that brake rotor. I mean, it's pretty fragile. It's a cast iron piece, and that can break off, and then when that happens, you got nothing over there, and it pushes the pucks out. I'm sure that's probably what happened to him.
So a 36-lap green flag stretch is ended by this caution flag, and the pit road is closed for the moment, so we will not see the pit stops at this second. Doc, what are they talking about with Kevin Harvick?
Remember we talked about how important fuel mileage is at the top of the show today. Well, they really don't have a lot of numbers yet on this new car in the tank and the E15 fuel they've gotten. They're a little concerned about how far they can go. Harvick was going to pit last time when the caution came out. Now the pits are closed, and Harvick is down on the flat part of the racetrack trying to conserve fuel. Concerned that he may, hopefully, be able to make it to the open pits. If not, he's going to have to come down pit road with a closed pit road. Very close on fuel for the 33 and maybe the 18 of Kyle Busch as well.
He's doing what he's got to do.
He would run 5 or 6 laps, and 4 of them you'd be 2/10 quicker than him, and then all of a sudden he would hit the line and pop one off 1/10 quicker than us. So that's about the way it was shaking out.
Crew Chief David Hyder talking to Kevin about how he compared with the guys that were chasing him.
You might wonder why these guys run on the apron when they're low on fuel. That pickup for the fuel system is in an extreme right rear corner of the car. And when they're on the banking, that fuel runs away from it. So as a driver, the only thing you can do is get the car flat where you can get some fuel back to it like Kevin's doing right now.
Now you can also see the 18 car right there weaving back and forth to get that fuel over to that pickup. Dave?
And guys, Jason Leffler has reported, and he's very close on fuel too. The one thing that they reminded him was to keep the revs up when he's on pit road if the motor is faltering. Why does that help?
Well, it just keeps that fuel pump spinning, and Dave, you know, it gets that pickup, the fuel pickup into the carburetor quicker. You know, it's kind of hard to do though when it's running out of fuel, and it's just hard to keep the RPMs up. We'll see. I mean, I'm sure everybody's hoping that pit road's going to open this time.
It is. Pit road will be open here, so we'll see everybody come down under caution. This will be the second full set of pit stops on the day. We had about half the field pit earlier as well. So Harvick leading Edwards, Busch, Bain, and Elliott Sadler up to 5th. Shannon, here comes Sadler.
That's right, and Elliott Sadler, he gives up 5th. He started 34th here today, guys. He needs a little bit more grip when he gets back on that throttle. It needs to be a little freer through the turns. They're going to make some adjustments on this 2 car. Dave?
Jason Leffler gives up 9th to Pitt. The car was loose off and tight in the middle. They're going to work on the loose off with the track bar adjust. The car is still under fire right now, so Jason appears to have enough fuel to get this pit stop done. Doc?
RCR Budweiser Cup Crew fitting Kevin Harvick. A little bit loose air pressure change. Takes some tape off the grill. Mike.
Carl Edwards says he's sliding the car through the center of the corner. Still, he told Mike Beam not to tighten it up too much. Beam calling for an air pressure adjustment, a 4-tire change, and fuel, a quick stop for the 60. They're away.
And to the lead.
Yeah, look at Harvick, lost 3 spots.
So we'll shuffle up the running order at the front of the field. New leader will be Carl Edwards when we go back green flag racing here in California. Aerial coverage today brought to you by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Everything we've learned making tires for one of racing's most grueling proving grounds inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. A lap from the restart here at California today. The NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship continues on ESPN and ESPN2 tonight with the Spokane Regional Semifinals. First on ESPN, 9 Eastern, Gonzaga takes on Louisville. Then on ESPN2 at 11:30 Eastern, it's North Carolina facing Stanford. It's the NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship presented by Capital One on ESPN and ESPN2 Saturday. ESPN, the exclusive home of the NCAA Women's Championship. So after the caution flag that came out just as a series of green flag pit stops was beginning, we're going to have 19 cars on the lead lap. Brad Keselowski, one of those, who's going to get a wave around along with Josh Wise and Reed Sorensen. Those guys all will get back on the lead lap through the wave around. They made the green flag pit stop and stayed on the racetrack under the caution. Ryan Truex got the free pass. That's going to bring him back around onto the lead lap as well. And a lead change on the pit stops. Carl Edwards now first. Kevin Harvick now fourth.
Yeah, that was pretty eventful caution flag.
Catch all that?
Yeah.
So here we go now with Edwards on the outside. Kyle Busch to his inside for the restart. Kevin Harvick looking outside.
Got a big run.
And Kyle Busch has got the lead.
These restarts, when you got momentum, you just go where nobody else is going. And the restarts, you really get boggled up here in California. That's one thing I always noticed when I used to drive here, guys. About the first 3 or 4 laps, you were all boggled up, couldn't go nowhere. Tires weren't up to air. They were cold. Ooh, no grip.
Little gamesmanship going on there.
I don't know what that was.
I want to go where you're not. I thought you were going high. I'm going to go low. No, wait a minute. I'm going the other way.
Let's just hold on for dear life what that is. Get the handle out of this thing. Get these tires warmed up. Let's go.
Took 69 laps for Kyle Busch to lead a lap in this thing. You could have had some of my money if you'd asked me that at the start of the day.
Well, they said they were off a little bit.
Yeah. Edwards coming back.
That last green flag run, though, Kyle Busch was the fastest car consistently the last third of that run.
And here he goes back to that top lane again.
I think we might have to see him get some laps on these other cars before he can actually come in front. Look at Harvick get a run.
Through the middle.
And Mark back in the picture.
Yep. It's Martin in the yellow car, just joining us, driving the 32 today. Second of 4 appearances he'll make in the Nationwide Series this year.
Great racing right here.
Yeah.
See, Edwards trying to use that draft off of Stephen Wallace.
Stephen involved in a spin back at lap 24 that did some pretty significant damage to the nose of that 66 car. That has left him a little bit off the pace here.
See Mark Martin in the center there. I mean, Mark has been up top 5 pretty well all day long here. I'm really impressed how Mark runs this racetrack. I think about him running Michigan and California. These are 2 of his strongest tracks, how he drives it. That momentum we talked about with no horsepower in the hood of his cars. Probably one of the best at doing it.
been pretty happy with his car the whole time he's been here. Didn't practice a lot because he said he had a car that he felt like was good enough to win.
Yeah, he won Las Vegas, and we're thinking, hey, man, he was fast in Vegas, but he wasn't happy of the speed of that car. He told us all that right now this is the best he's been. Mike, it looks like he's looking good right now.
Yeah, he is looking good. And as you mentioned, he wasn't happy with that car in Las Vegas. Neither was his crew chief, Trent Owens. Speaking with him yesterday afternoon, he said, we need to be better than we were in Las Vegas. Martin feels that that is the case, but believe me, to give you a little perspective, how good Mark Martin is, well, I had a conversation with him this morning, and you know how a lot of the drivers are complaining about the bumps on the racetrack? Well, I asked Mark about the bumps on the racetrack. He just shrugged his shoulders and said, no big deal.
You know, there's a lot of things you can change and a lot you can't. You can't change the bump on the racetrack. You can't change the weather. And you just better keep driving these babies and figuring it out. And that's what Mark's doing.
Mark Martin has won for 6 different teams in the Nationwide Series. Turner Motorsports being the most recent of them. Joey Logano a little farther back, 20. Aric Almirola, 88. Elliott Sadler, too. Remember, Logano coming back from picking up a piece of debris in the nose of that car earlier in the race. He was way deep in the field, coming back to the front.
I started to say, we haven't talked about Logano, but here he is now. He's got that thing going. Got it hooked back up.
It's up to 7th. What about Elliott Sadler, Shannon?
Well, Alan, Elliott Sadler came down on that last pit stop. He was running 5th. He came out 9th, and the reason is because his crew chief told him to wait on fuel. They took a little bit longer to get all of the fuel in that car because he says he wants to be able to make it on just one more stop.
It's really been an issue this year. This new refueling system, they've eliminated the catch can man, and that new system is really tricky.
And we saw on that last set of pit stops 2 or 3 different exchange techniques from that one fuel can to the other.
Yeah, a lot of teams are experimenting with what's the best way to fuel the car and get all the other work done, like making chassis adjustments and that sort of thing. So we'll see a lot of different things that people will experiment with.
This is just good
racing. It's great. Look at it.
All over the racetrack. This is for 2nd place, by the way. Carl Edwards not even in the picture. He's checked out a little bit. Kyle Busch, 18. Harvick, 33. Martin, 32. And the 2 young Roush drivers, Stenhouse in the 6 and Bain in the 16.
You talk about Stenhouse. I think if anybody has had a huge comeback from last year, it's got to be Stenhouse. Had a lot of problems early. Really, really nervous he was going to lose this ride. Wrecked a lot. And it's like a switch went off and all that went away. And he's like, hey, I'm in the club now. And he's driving like a veteran driver, and he's doing a great job.
Had a frustrating race last week at Bristol. Had the car that looked like it could run with Kyle Busch. Made a green flag pit stop. Then the caution came out before Kyle pitted, set him back. Then they, later in the race, got a penalty for lining up in the wrong spot on a restart, which you can certainly understand at Bristol. You're only running, laps around there as quick as you could be, even under the caution flag. That green flag penalty set them back again. And they left with a very frustrating result.
Well, look at him go here.
After having a car they thought they could win the race.
Now look at this. Wow. Look at Kyle get this huge run.
Look at that. I mean, you talk about momentum. Stenhouse sailed that baby down in there.
And it's like Kyle had 1,000 horsepower right there.
And Kyle saw it coming and picked that throttle up and drove past him again. Talking about getting bottled up in the center of the corner I was talking about, Andy. When you really get slowed down, there's a classic example of it. I just started to say, look at Stenhouse just pass Kyle Busch and blow his doors off.
Looked like he had to check up just a little bit off the corner, and that just killed the momentum.
We saw Mark Martin on the very bottom of the track and Kyle Busch in the very top of the track. And I tell you, that's a sucker hole in the center. When you see that center will open up, as a driver, you want to sail it down in there. Sometimes you pay, and that's what just happened to Stenhouse.
They're going to have some company here in a minute with this Elliott Sadler.
That's Timmy Hill's car off the pace on the right of your screen. Carl Edwards has opened up a 1 1/3 second lead on 2nd place. That Grace race for the runner-up spot here in California. Coverage presented by CC's Pizza.
Is rum.
Tomorrow on ABC, we kick off the 2011 IZOD IndyCar Series season. It is the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, 12:30 Eastern on ABC. Danica Patrick will be in that field, of course, after running in the Nationwide Series to start off this season. Meanwhile, back here in Southern California, Carl Edwards leads the way in this Nationwide Series race, making his 200th consecutive start. A 5-hour energy rapid recap, getting us caught up in what's happened so far. bumpy racing really all day long.
Yeah, crew chiefs have had their hands full adjusting these cars. This racetrack has a lot of bumps on it, particularly down in turn 1. Bump runs all the way up to the wall. It is bouncing hard off of that splitter, so you really got to be adjusted.
Elliott Sadler has had an interesting day. His day started off in qualifying. Yeah, that's a wreck.
Yeah, that gets your attention. It qualified, had a tough time there.
He started 34th, but he is far and away the biggest mover in this field, up 27 spots. He's currently running in 7th. But the other interesting thing, strategy on these pit stops. Keep in mind, there is a new fueling system. Keep your eye on that tire carrier. When he drops the tire off, he's going to swing around the car. He's going to take over for the fuel man. That is for Elliott Sadler's car. But take a look at what else happens on this car. This is Jason Leffler. The tire carrier goes over, drops off the tire. Leffler, though, needs an adjustment.
Yeah.
Tire carrier makes the adjustment, then grabs another can.
That's exactly right. And this is where my old ex-NBA buddies can come into hand right here. Nice, tall guy is what you need for your gas, man. He can reach over and grab that can very, very easily.
I mean, you can just go on down there and do it yourself. Nice 7-footer.
Possibly. I like it right here better with you, though.
Dave, what do you got?
Hey, Nicole, those guys were fast, too, on that pit stop. Really fast. In fact, they picked up Jason 4 spots on pit road. He went from 10th to 6th. Unfortunately, he's fallen back to 10th with a car that is tightened up from the adjustment. But these guys are Hendrick Motorsports development guys. Actually, they pit Jimmy Johnson's car on Sunday. So I guess you can call them development guys in the sense that they come over here on Saturday. They're employed by, they're hired by Turner to pit the car. Chad Knaus may decide to put different combinations out there, try some new guys. But they're doing very well for Jason Leffler and getting some reps before Sunday.
Got a challenge for the lead. Kevin Harvick has run down Carl Edwards back straight away. He's going to take a try at having that #1 spot again. Remember, Harvick lost 3 positions, was the leader going down pit road at that last caution flag. Whoa!
The sun's coming out and this track's starting to slicken up a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely changed. That last time by, Kevin Harvick was over 0.2 of a second faster than Edwards and 0.3 of a second faster than Ricky Stenhouse Jr. So I think this hot track is starting to tend to Harvick's driving style.
Yeah, you see how the track temp has come up.
You work, you close in on a guy, you run him down from 2 seconds behind him, you get to his bumper. The minute you change your line to try and take the lead from him, the car gets half sideways on you, and now you find yourself again trying to close in on him again.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at this 3rd place right here.
What a frustrating
Kyle
thing.
Busch gets back Stenhouse.
It's been a fun race. You know, this is the way it's developed over these runs, these long green flag runs. You got some cars like Carl Edwards jump out there to the lead. Then you got Harvick running back down. And then in the real long runs, we've seen Kyle Busch have the fastest car.
Joe Gibbs Racing on a streak of 6 consecutive Nationwide Series wins at this racetrack. Roush Fenway Racing owned this racetrack when it first opened in '97. Stenhouse, Edwards, Bain all running well today.
Well, the Roush boys are going to have some company because this car right here, this 2-car Sadler, he's been coming to the front all day long. This car is working really well. You know, he's a teammate of Harvick, so I'm sure they're running similar setups. And similar lines. We see him run that top lane also.
You know, that's one thing about Harvick. Talking about teammates, a 2-car Elliott Sadler and Kevin Harvick. Harvick's not going to put up for Elliott running a way different setup than he's running. The parts, the pieces, the spindles, all the stuff you bolt on. He wants this stuff very, very close. We heard he got really upset with his team. He's tired of not running right. He wanted to right this ship. And he's got this thing right in the day Harvick does.
This is the race for 3rd. Elliott Sadler, remember Shannon's report a little while ago, they spent some extra time on pit road under that last stop to make sure they packed all the fuel into the car that they could, trying to make up a little bit of that ground. Speaking of making up ground, when Harvick got sideways before, he's made up the ground he lost after that last bid for the lead on Sadler.
Well, it's like if Harvick can ever clear him, he can just drive off from him.
This is for 4th place behind him. Trevor Bayne, 16. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 6. Roush Fenway teammates.
They're racing each other and keeping pace with Kyle Busch.
These guys are good friends. I see them hanging out all the time together. Stenhouse and Trevor Bayne, close to the same age.
Now look at them. They're having fun swapping this spot.
Well, they trust each other, too, because they're such good friends. They know their driving styles. They're giving each other a lot of room. Mike?
Hey, Rusty, Alan, take a look at those 2 Roush Fenway cars. Anything stand out for you?
Yeah, just hang on just 1 second, Mike. We're watching Kevin Harvick with another run down the back stretch on the lead for Carl Edwards. See if he can make that bottom side stick this time without getting sideways.
Well, Carl knows he doesn't want to let Harvick get up in front of him, because if Kevin gets in front, he should be able to drive off just a little bit. That really bogs you down when you're in that bottom lane like Kevin is.
Still in there, your bumper.
It's frustrating, too.
All right, regroup. Try again. Here he goes.
Back inside.
Good run this time.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe. Oh, there we go. That works right now, but I bet you on the last lap that wouldn't work. That car would have.
Get your marks.
Look at that.
Okay, let's see how this car works. Harvick's now, since he got this clean air. He's out front.
I think Carl gave him another, just maybe an inch or two there he needed.
Yeah.
Give him a little love tap and say, see you later, pal.
see you later on.
Maybe
Maybe right now.
Look at that momentum. Oh, man. This is great racing.
I think Mike Wallace may have kind of interfered with Harvick's momentum there a little bit.
I was talking about frustration before, so Harvick worked and got the lead finally. And then came up.
That's what happened.
On the lap car and had to lift off the gas.
Oh, just enough to break the momentum, kill him. Well, he did it one time before. He's going to have to go do it again now.
Oh. So, Carl
Here we
Edwards
go.
back out in front. And here comes Kevin again.
Well, look at that. You can just see Carl's car moving around now. That's at 190 miles an hour. He's wheeling that thing back and forth.
And you know, when you get in this position, Andy, like, let's take a look at the two teammates here, Stenhouse and Bain.
Uh-oh, looks like maybe Jeremy Clements has been in the wall.
Caution is out. Jeremy Clement, that right front corner of that car, wrinkled up. Was it before or after?
It's hard to say. He had a good run early in the race and kind of moved up in the top 15. Lost some time on a pit stop. Now he was running in the lucky dog spot.
Those two guys are racing for the lucky dog, Michael and that Oakley car.
Looks like maybe he did have a tire go down.
Yeah, loses a tire.
Yeah, these two cars had been racing for that lucky dog spot. Oh, man, that's a hard lick, too. It's a small team. They really can't afford, fixing cars like this, and had a great run going. It's too bad.
Andy, one thing I saw before we went to that replay, there was a lot of metal bumper parts flying off this car all over the racetrack now. NASCAR's going to have to do a good job to get that cleaned up because a lot of metal out there.
So Clements, the 26-year-old from Spartanburg. That's an axle. Look at that. Rear axle came right out of the right rear of the car.
Cow.
That was a good catch, Alan. I call it a
See how hot
it is. It's a bumper bar with splines in each end of it.
Yeah, we'll see right here when it flies out.
Oh, yeah.
What happened right there, Alan, is when that impact with the wall probably broke that axle cap. It's an aluminum cap that holds that axle in. Must have broken the bolts that hold it in, and then just free to fly out of there. Yeah, you can see the cap is gone.
That can be trouble. So
yeah, he doesn't know it yet. He's getting ready to take off, and he's going to say, hey, something else is wrong, guys.
Yeah.
There he goes. Oh, axle's gone.
Yeah, I think they just figured it out.
So caution out for the 5th time in this race. And gives the crew chief something to ponder here as we have 57, there'll be 56 laps to go. That's outside of a fuel window.
Yeah, and you saw Mike Beam. He looked like he was trying to figure out what to do. And what the problem he has is he's got a great car in a short run, but then Harvick's able to run him back down. So what do I do? Do I adjust that, or do I count on having a short run at the end of the race? It's kind of a dilemma for a crew chief.
That's why they get the big bucks.
Yeah, that's it.
Isn't that right, Rusty?
And there's David
That's
Hyder.
exactly right.
He's the crew chief for Harvick.
Figure it out. Well, Hyder, he got hollered at last week by Kevin Harvick.
Yeah,
Harvick's like, get this car handled.
Yeah, you got to have thick skin to work for Harvick. I want to tell you.
Here, 4,400, 2 lights at the line, 2 lights.
He's going to tell it like it is.
All right, last time Kevin Harvick came down as the leader, went out 4th. This time Harvick will come in 2nd. Behind Carl Edwards. And here comes Elliott Sadler. He'll be the first to hit his pitch, Shannon.
And Elliott Sadler gives up 5th right now, guys. He says he's loose. He cannot get aggressive on that throttle, so they're going to try to tighten him up with some air pressure. Also add some tape to the nose. Get him back out there with 4 tires. Doc?
Kyle Busch says the car will not run on the bottom of the racetrack. He wants 4 tires, fuel 1 round down on the track bar, and 1 round up in the left rear. Kevin Harvick, 4 tires, fill it up with Sunoco fuel, and tear off the windshield. And by the way, how about a good pit stop? Let's not lose position this time. Mike.
Like last time down pit road, crew chief Mike Beam adjusted the 60 car only with air pressure. Going back to that again, right side air only, 4 tires and fuel for the 60 car.
Harvick this time will come out with the lead. Edwards goes from 1st to 2nd.
Looked like Edwards waited on fuel just a split second.
And Mark Martin losing 3 spots, slipping back to 10th. So we've got 56 laps to go, and Harvick got the lead on pit road this time after working so hard to try and get it on the track. We're presented by CiCi's Pizza.
ESPN.com.
ESPN, your NBA destination. Tomorrow night, the playoff push continues with a doubleheader. 8 Eastern, the Trailblazers take on the Thunder. Then at 10:30 Eastern, it's the Dallas Mavericks and the Phoenix Suns. It's the NBA on ESPN Sunday. Both games available online at ESPN3.com and also on your phone. Get ready to go back racing with what will be 53 laps to go in the Royal Purple 300. They're not pitted next to each other on the pit lane identically, but comparing the pit stops of Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards that resulted in the lead swap.
Now, Harvick's team really bounced back on that last one. They lost a couple of spots the earlier pit stop right here, having a good one. See, just kind of comparing the two stops, they're very similar as far as the tire changes, the way they move around the car, and actually the way they even made the change in the swap on the fuel can. But you see it just a little bit longer on that swap for Edwards. You see Harvick takes off. They had to wait. You saw the tires were already changed, and Edwards' team was waiting on that gas to take place there. Doc?
And Andy, David Hyder, the crew chief for Kevin Harvick, said, we didn't wait on fuel because we had to stop one more time. We wanted to get Kevin back out front in clean air. Our car's been so good, but he's had to punish the car to try to get by the 60 car of Edwards. So let him wait on fuel. We got to make one more pit stop. We just wanted to be first off pit road, which is exactly what they did.
Yeah, so they actually probably didn't get the car completely full of fuel.
Yeah, you usually see that gas guy shaking his head like it's full. I didn't see any of that out of Harvick's car this time, so probably lacking a little bit of fuel. Not much. It's pretty good.
And we'll see how it plays out.
Michael Annett got the free pass. He's the 19th car on the lead lap. Kevin LePage, Timmy Hill, and Blake Cook got wave arounds. Green flag. Quick move to the inside. Kyle Busch 3 wide for the race lead.
Teammate drops down with him, Joey Logano. We've seen that draft really kind of take effect on these restarts.
Look at that. Man. Wow, look at Edwards' hands inside that 60 car. He was busy, but stayed in the gas.
Get a shove from Harvick.
I'll tell you what, it's just like nowadays, they fight for the top side of that racetrack. I mean, forever and ever, the bottom of the racetrack is the fastest way around. But nowadays, with these cars, there's just no grip down there. And it's like a dogfight to get to the top of the track.
Edwards moving low, trying to take Kyle Busch's line away.
See Stenhouse coming. There's Harvick.
This racetrack opened up in 1997, and as it has aged, yes, the pavement has picked up some bumps along the way, but that pavement giving up some grip.
Yeah, look at Stenhouse.
Look at Stenhouse.
Man.
Going to the point.
I mean, he's rolling.
This pavement giving up some grip has changed this from a racetrack where everybody ran right around that white line on the bottom to where they run all over the place looking for some grip. And the last couple of years of racing here have been just fun.
This is a great one so far.
It's definitely got better, that's for sure. Some drivers out there, some of them are going, hey, I like this bumpy track. A lot of them are saying, it's about time for a little repavement, I think. But racetracks don't like to hear that, especially the owners.
And truthfully, the kind of racing I've seen here the last few years, I don't want to hear it either.
Yeah, no, I
know. My opinion.
And you hear about Daytona. Before they paved Daytona, a lot of guys didn't want to pave that. But we saw way of a race down there.
Look at this. Look at Keselowski. He was almost clipping the grass down there inside 3 and 4, looking for some grip in that 22 car.
He's done a great job today because he lost a lap when they pitted under green and the caution came out. They got the wave around. Now they've moved their way back up inside the top 6.
Chipping away at it.
Now he's going to try the top side.
Bain 16, Almirola 88, Allgaier 31. Jason Leffler in that race as well. This is for 9th place on back.
You see Almirola there in that 88 car. He's had a fast car ever since he unloaded this Dale Earnhardt Jr. car this week. He struggled a little bit this year, but he's really got this thing a lot better now. And every pit stop I see this car is getting faster and handling better. He's another team that's worked on it throughout the day. This car's starting to come around to get the best it's been.
All right, where do you go? what's that you call it, the sucker hole?
It is a sucker hole. I mean, it makes you want to bomb down in there, but by the time you get in the center of that corner, you're carrying too much speed, and sometimes it just doesn't handle. We saw that earlier with Kyle Busch at Stenhouse.
Brian Scott, tail end of this group, that black 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. Farther ahead, Keselowski, Joey Logano. That is for 5th and 6th places. Logano trying to keep his rally going. Just joining us earlier, picked up a piece of metal in the front end of that 20 car, dropped him way to the back till they got it repaired. He's been trying to recover ever since.
Yeah, just a reminder, this is the very first time for this new car to run at this racetrack ever. New style car running all of 2011. These cars ran 4 times last year, but never at this racetrack. So this is a real fact-finding mission for a lot of these cars.
Yeah, and a lot of the tracks they've gone to this year, they've gotten a lot of extra practice time, if not an extra day of practice. They didn't get that here. This big back kind of a normal schedule, so they didn't get a lot of extra track time. And the weather.
Sorry, Andy. How about this kid in the 6? Didn't get a chance to talk about him much because there was so much good racing going on when he took the lead. But Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 23 years old, native of Mississippi, had the heartbreak last week at Bristol. We documented earlier the story of last year when he was a big hit beginning his Nationwide Series career. Like, hit a lot of things at the beginning of last season.
Well, it's been a big turnaround. It really has. Probably the biggest turnaround this year I've seen. We saw the feel-good story of his friend Trevor Bayne winning the Daytona 500. And now Ricky, another one of his friends out there leading this race today. A great thing for this kid after all the problems last year.
Well, with the new change in the point system, I said early in the year that somebody, one of these Nationwide regulars, is going to jump up and say, hey, I'm the man to beat, and going to be able to beat some of these Cup stars that are running on Saturday. So it looks like Stenhouse has said, I'm going to be the man that's going to do that. He's been very consistent at the front of the field.
Stenhouse Jr. being chased by Carl Edwards for the lead here. A man, Ricky tells us, has been one of his go-to guys for advice.
After Phoenix, he talked to me. He's like, look, you're in a good position here. Just keep the ball rolling. Don't, do anything to mess it up. And it's cool to get feedback from him. He's won a championship before and knows what it takes. So the relationship's good, and he gives good advice, too.
And as we mentioned earlier, here's crew chief Mike Kelly, very impressed with the maturity of this young man. I had a conversation with another Roush Fenway crew chief this weekend, Chris Andrews, the crew chief for Trevor Bayne, and he told me something that's pretty applicable at this point now. Alan, I was getting to this earlier. As you look at these 2 race cars, something stands out. Yep. They're both white and pretty much sponsorless. Believe me, this is not lost on the Roush Fenway folks. Chris Andrews told me earlier this weekend, he said they came here looking to make a statement. They want to prove that just because they don't have sponsorship, their cars are very much worthy. And there's nothing that proves that more than running up front. They want to win with a plain white race car today.
There's Jack Roush, the team owner. Watching right now his cars run 1st and 2nd. Trevor Bayne is running back in 10th.
Like Mike Kelly was. Is Mike Kelly there?
That was Mike Kelly, yeah.
Yeah, it looked like he was waving a signal like the caution's getting ready to come out or something.
One of the NASCAR spotters, I believe, out in one of the corners might have reported something to the tower that they were looking at, and Mike was listening to. The crew chiefs all have NASCAR on a scanner in their ears and was waiting to see if the caution was going to come out. Obviously, we've stayed under the green flag. 44 laps to go. Looking at the race for the lead. Stenhouse and Edwards, the teammates, ahead of Kevin Harvick by 1.4 seconds. Our coverage from California presented by CC's Pizza. For getting down to the deciding stages of this one. Car.com. It's the Royal Purple 300 from Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. ESPN's live coverage of Race 5 of the Nationwide Series. And there is a new leader. Carl Edwards is back out in front of this race. Show you the pass in a minute. Challenge for 2nd spot just behind him as well as Kevin Harvick begins to work on Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for that runner-up position.
I just started to say, look, Harvick's really coming on now late in this run. He ran down Stenhouse and just blew right around him on the outside. Now he's got Carl Edwards in his gun sights.
Well, it makes you wonder if Carl Edwards didn't make a little change. We saw Mike Dean there kind of contemplating what they were going to do on that stop. And after Harvick was kind of running him down quickly early in the run, maybe they did make a change, and we'll see.
Here's how the lead changed hands a couple laps ago. Stenhouse up off of turn number 4 behind a lap car. Didn't look like the lap car was much of a factor.
No.
And Edwards got the good run off the corner, and then watch this. Yo! no.
It's like the handle on Ricky's car is starting to go away just a little bit.
Yeah.
A little loose. We saw that rear end kind of hung out off of turn 4 a little while ago. He's kind of holding on to that baby for dear life.
So here we go again. Just like in the last long run, Kevin Harvick behind Carl Edwards. Closes in, closes in, closes in, closes in, closes in. What did it take him? Like 3 tries to try and get around him, and each time he did, something happened that put him back behind Carl. Then he ended up having to get the lead on a pit stop.
But this one's working out just the same as the last run. You see Harvick at this point of the run is running him down. And we saw the last really long run we had where Kyle Busch was then the fastest car. So see how this one develops. It looks very similar.
Yeah, I keep looking at the lap times right now in a situation like this. Last time by, Carl Edwards ran a 42.70 compared to Kevin Harvick's 42.35. So Harvick's 3.5 tenths of a second faster. That's a lot of speed.
Looking at the race for the lead in the NASCAR Nationwide Series 300-miler here at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. ESPN's live coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Down to the deciding laps of this one. Carl Edwards in the 60, Kevin Harvick in the 33. A couple of former series champs racing for the lead. Fastest lap of the day so far has been turned by Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who is the top running championship eligible driver in the Nationwide Series. But right now, it is those 2 former series champs who've distanced themselves a little bit from Stenhouse in third, Edwards and Harvick repeating a pattern we saw earlier in the race.
Well, one thing I noticed, you see Harvick kind of run down Edwards right there. The bad thing about this is that Edwards is running Kevin's line. Edwards is right on the top of the track, and Kevin can't run as fast on the bottom. Let's see what happens this lap. They sail him in. Carl goes to the top, Kevin to the top.
Quarter lane lower, not one completely.
Watch those lap cars ahead, too. They might get to be a factor in this.
Yep.
Harvick leads that one.
Oh, there we go.
And we'll clear him.
Harvick got a little draft.
Yeah, it looks like he used the draft off Stevens' car to get by.
Yeah, Stevens' car's kind of tore up with that front end all messed up, and Harvick used the draft off it and slot right past him. Shot right past him. Did I say slot past him?
That is the 10th time today that Harvick and Edwards have changed the lead officially at the start-finish line. Been a good race. Look at this back in traffic. Kenny Wallace, 09. Josh Wise, 7. And Reed Sorensen in 30. It's going to be for 14th, 15th, and 16th spots on the lead lap. Kenny Wallace trying to keep a little early season run of solid results going, Shannon.
That's right, Alan. It's all about being conservative for this team. Kenny Wallace said this is the year he, quote, wants to get his dignity back. He wants to prove that he's better than where he's finished over the past 3 seasons. And so far this year it has been very good. He currently ranks 7th in the points. This team is very proactive for Kenny Wallace. I ran into him in the garage yesterday. He had a huge smile on his face. He told me, I feel like we have a top 15 car here this weekend.
Well, Shannon, I'll tell you what, he can drive the car. I put him in a 3rd car at Gateway Speedway last year, and he just flat flew. He ran top 5, top 10 all day long. He left with his head really high, and a lot of people took notice.
Kip Keselowski all the way down to the apron there in 3 and 4.
He's going to hit a motorhome down there if he's not careful.
This is trying to get around Joey Logano for 6th position, and they are 8.5 seconds behind the leader, Kevin Harvick. 33 to go. Still got another round of pit stops to come, and those have changed the lead at times throughout this race, too. Don't go away. Harvick and Edwards out in front for now. Coverage presented by Cece's Pizza.
From the stars of Hollywood to the stars of this Nationwide Series, it has been a bumpy day. Cars searching all over the track to find that fast.
Yeah, these cars have been bouncing around all day. We've seen some great racing though, on a race that historically gets spread out. Guys have been racing really hard.
Elliott Sadler, one of the guys doing a great job today. He started 34th. He's currently running 5th. Guess what? That's 29 spots. And Kevin Harvick, really, really good on the long runs.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick's been outstanding on the long runs, as well as Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who's had a heck of a run today. That normal guy, Kyle Busch, and Carl Edwards in the mix.
Aerial coverage brought to you by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Everything we've learned making tires from one of racing's most grueling proving grounds inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Doc, what do you got?
Well, all the leaders are going to make one more stop for fuel. They're all about 10 or 12 laps short on fuel. Now, you got to figure now they would come down pit road and only need one can. That's the case for Kevin Harvick. And you would think, well, one can of fuel, that'll be 2 right side tires. But David Hyder has said, no, I don't want to put 2 tires on this car because we have been so good and so balanced with 4 tires. I don't want to change it up and take a chance. Remember, we have a Cup crew pitting the car, and we can take 4 tires in less than 14 seconds. So let's check in with Mike on Carl Edwards. Mike?
Doc, it's easy to speculate that could be the same plan for the 60 car. They've done 4 tire changes all throughout the afternoon, haven't done a 2-tire change yet. So it doesn't mean they won't go with 2 tires, but if they did, they wouldn't know how the car would react. So I would anticipate them falling in line with the 33. As for fuel, I would expect they'd come in about, I don't know, let's say about 20 laps or so, Shannon.
Well, Mike, on the start of this run, Ernie Koch told Elliott Sadler to conserve some fuel. He said, if we stay green, I want to have you come down and only have to put 1 can of fuel in that car. So that's what he's been doing this entire run. I did check in with Ernie Koch. It sounds like lap 139 is when they'll probably come down, and right now they are thinking 2 tires. Alan?
All right, Shannon, thanks. Been sitting up here looking at the overall picture of this race as we have that one stop yet to go. Some things we've talked about during the day. Pit road speeding penalties. Haven't had any so far today. That last stop, if it's under green's a good opportunity. Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards have traded the lead on pit road each of the last 2 stops. Whoever came down first came out second. Money stop coming up for these 2 guys. And that strategy and the tires and fuel and so on, Andy, while these front guys, as we heard the reports, are going to want 4 tires, you think it's an opportunity for some of the guys behind them?
Yeah, it is. We talked about, these 2 cars right here, Kevin Harvick and Edwards, have been the cars to beat. When you look at Stenhouse and even back farther than that, Elliott Sadler, maybe even Trevor Bayne, this is their opportunity to roll the dice and get 2 tires or no tires, just try to stretch it out, get half a can of fuel. Try something that might be able to beat these fast cars. But I do agree with the strategy of the front 2 taking 4, but it is going to create an opportunity.
See how far back Stenhouse has fallen from the leaders. He's now 4.5 seconds behind, so that is what puts them in that position. Andy's describing there a second ago of, try something.
Yeah, the 2-tire stop's not a bad idea, like Andy said, if you're back behind a little bit, because, we generally have a green-white checkered restart with these races, but this particular race today doesn't have that look to me. It just doesn't look like we're going to have some wrecks late.
Brad Keselowski, short pitting. What do you think, Mike?
Well, the car has become such a handful, guys. He radioed in a few laps ago saying it's so loose I can barely drive it. So they can't go much further without running the risk of wrecking this race car. So instead, they'll have to bring it down pit road. They'll make an adjustment, a 4-tire change, wedge adjustment as well on the 22 as they complete service down the right side and move around to the left side on Brad Keselowski.
If you're going to get 4 tires, you want to have enough laps.
Down on pit road as well now as they make service to that race car. Wise has been rather happy with it, although it has been somewhat of a mediocre race car for him throughout the course of the afternoon. Of course, he doesn't have a heck of a lot of experience here either, but they're still trying to dial it in for him. They complete the stop, 4 tires on the 7.
I didn't mean to step on you, Mike, but if you take 4 tires, you want to have enough laps to be able to take advantage of it. So that's why you would make that decision to short pit.
A couple others. Mike Bliss is on pit road, as is the 52 of Tony Raines, while Kevin Harvick stays about 1.4 seconds ahead of Carl Edwards. Doc?
Mike Bliss in the 19 car. What an effort they have put in today. Mike Bliss, an underfunded team, minimal tires, minimal people on pit road, trying to make it all the way on fuel and trying to get a good top 20 finish, which allows this team to have more funding to run week after week. Guys?
All right, Doc, thanks. Change of position here. Aric Almirola trying to take 8th spot away from Mark Martin.
The way the point system is this year with Harvick and Edwards, Kyle Busch, the Cup guys not getting points for racing today, it's not like if they make the wrong decision, it's going to kill them in the points. These guys are just going for the win. If they make a mistake, hey, they made a mistake. This is the way they're looking at it. It's a different philosophy if you're just going for the wins versus going for the points.
Now, somebody else I want to talk about, because Joe Gibbs Racing, winners of the last 6 straight Nationwide Series races here at this track. Kyle Busch, winner of 4 of the last 5. I hear, hasn't had the best car all day, right? Talked about right from the start of the race. They really weren't pleased with the way their car was completely and weren't sure what they had. I hear Jaws music playing. Dun, 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 dun. Here he comes.
Yeah, he's been stalking this front, too.
Well, they generally have the fastest pit stop. Joe Gibbs Racing are incredible on pit road.
Look at this.
That's going to be second spot. Carl Edwards.
And you look at the speeds, he's identical with Kevin Harvick. Kyle Busch is right now, a little faster than Carl Edwards. So
and that's visible now on Carl Edwards. You can see he's pulled right up to the back bumper.
More green flag stops, Dave.
Justin Allgaier was running 10th, Alan. The car was pretty well balanced, so he didn't ask for any adjustments other than 4 fresh tires and full of Sunoco fuel. But he said to himself, I'm going to have to go back to the top of the racetrack and try to find where this car will run fastest. He's gone.
Now, of course, all these guys that have made green flag stops needing the race to stay green through the finish so they can get the benefit of the fresh tires and not get trapped by the caution flag as well and let these guys that are out there in front of them pit under the yellow flag. First pit road speeding penalty of the day. Charles Lewandowski, too fast entering pit road. What was it I said about that last green
look
flag
at that.
stop?
Look at the run. Right. Oh, okay. I was going to say, man, here comes Carl Edwards down pit road.
Speed now 4,800.
18 to go. How much does this force the hand of the 33, even if he can stay out there a little bit on fuel, to come in soon?
Wait on gas. I think you said don't wait on gas. Do not wait on gas. Do not wait on gas. 4 tires. 10 away around the 99.
Here he is, Mike.
And you just heard his crew chief, Mike Beam, say, do not wait on gas. Carl had radioed in not too long ago saying the car's good for a while, then it starts to lose a little bit of grip. They've made a series of air pressure adjustments. They'll do that once again. 4 tires the call in the 60 car. As the fuel can goes in, they complete their work on the left side, and Edwards is away.
Well, I tell you, Kevin Harvick's going to have to get this thing down pit road pretty quick. Edwards, after those new tires pulling out, if Kevin waits too much longer, Edwards could get a big lead on him.
Yeah, these new tires can be a second faster per lap. So the more laps that he gives Edwards on new tires, the more gap he'll close once he makes his stop.
And at the same time, all these crew chiefs looking at their caution histories that say we've had a late caution in 4 of the last 5 races here in California for the Nationwide Series. Oh, boy. Trevor Baynes in, Mike.
Trevor Baynes, crew chief Chris Andrews telling him to put on the brakes, coaching him into his pit stall as the team goes to work on the right side of that car. Seeing a little bit of damage there, it appears, on the right quarter panel. Didn't see when that happened, but obviously a little bit of damage on that car. 4 tire change from 16, Doc.
And Rusty, David Hyder heard you. He knew he couldn't leave Kevin Harvick out there because they would lose too much time. So the 60 car of Carl Edwards coming in, 4 tires for Kevin Harvick. Remember, he cannot speed exiting pit road. A lot of concern about that. Shannon.
Well, Elliott Sadler says he still needs some rear grip, something he's been fighting all day, loose conditions. Ernie Koch told me they were going to take 2 tires. Elliott Sadler's down and away.
Here's Jason Leffler in. Dave?
Alan, our in-race reporter, comes in for 4 tires, track bar adjustment. They hadn't gone the right way on the last stop, they feel like, so this car was very, very loose in, no drive off. He's going to get that adjustment in 4 tires. Shannon?
Kenny Wallace says the low groove is working for him. This is the best the car has been all day. It's going to be 4 tires and fuel for Kenny Wallace in the 09.
On the right side, that's big. Carl Edwards has unlapped himself, and there he goes by Kevin Harvick. He's unlapped himself to Kyle Busch. Remember, Kyle has yet to stop.
You take a look at how big a lead Kevin Harvick had on Carl Edwards. He waited 1 lap, and look how much it killed him on lap time. Doc.
Eric Almirola, his best run of the year thus far, trying to get his first top 5 finish, and Pop Fury has made the call for 4 tires and 1 can of fuel. Shannon.
Reed Sorensen's been battling this car all day. He says it still feels like it's rolling over the front. They're going to get some fresh tires. Remember, they saved these tires for the end of the race, told his crew chief he wanted fresh tires for the short run, and that's what he's got right now. Mike.
Ricky Stenhouse in now as they go to work work on that car. He's been pretty happy, although it started to fade a little bit. Started to get a bit loose toward the end of that run. They're going to go to work there. They make a slight air pressure adjustment with a 4-tire change for the 6, Dave.
Mike, 11th place was the best that Brian Scott could do on that last run. A wedge adjustment, half round down on the right rear for him. 4 tires here on lap 136, just clicking off about 137 now. Just a few laps left in this race. Brian Scott's crew finishing, and he's up pit road. Doc?
And Jason Ratcliffe is calling Kyle Busch in. He had said we're going to take 4 tires, and now he's made a change. He's going to change 2 right side tires only for Kyle Busch. Roll the dice for the driver who won both races here a year ago.
The right side tire's back.
And he is down and away. Right sides only for Kyle Busch.
Don't speed. Get out on the racetrack. Eddie, the spotter there. Now watch for the 33 and the 60 to come into the frame. Let's see how Kyle Busch blends up with those cars. Here comes Edwards in front of Harvick. While Kyle Busch works the apron of turn 2, these cars enter turn 1.
Oh, that paid out for Busch right now. He's got almost a 100-car length lead, way ahead of these guys. Kyle's up to speed, come down the middle of the back straightaway now, entering turn 3, and those guys are just off of turn 2.
Well, here's going to be the telltale. How fast will those 2 tires be on Kyle's car? Will he be able to hold them off?
This could have paid off for Kyle Busch. That's a big move. I don't know if I'd have done that.
I would have done it. I was calling it all the way down. I said, if I was Jason, I would take 2 right there. Big opportunity for him.
I will back that up. Andy was waving 2 fingers at us up here in the booth, said, you watch, 2 tires, and that is what Jason Ratcliffe has done. Kyle Busch led only 4 laps when he won this race last season. Terrific fight at the finish with Greg Biffle and Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. And once again, you see the leader of the most laps has failed to win this race the last 3 times out. Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards have by far spent the most time out in front today. Right now, they're behind Kyle Busch by 5 seconds.
That's amazing. Now, Kyle he doesn't need a caution right now. This thing's got to run green to the end. And
yeah, if they have a caution, that advantage there is going to be gone. He's not going to have tires. More than likely, even have to make a pit stop to hold off the guys behind him. But this is a great play. This is his chance to win. I don't think he could have beat these 2 cars any other way.
Well, look at this, Andy. Last time by, Kyle Busch, a 42.25 second lap compared to Edwards' 42.11. Edwards will never catch him.
Not at that rate.
If it goes green, not at that rate. You're right.
Looking at the gap from Edwards and Harvick up to Kyle Busch. Couple intervals just to throw at you for perspective. First of all, Kevin Harvick was 1.9 seconds ahead of Carl Edwards before their pit stop exchange. Second, Kyle Busch was over 2 seconds behind Carl Edwards when Edwards peeled off the pit, and that's what the difference in the staying on the racetrack and the just 2 tire call by Jason Ratcliffe has made for the 18. He's now 5 seconds ahead.
Now, you see right there now the Edwards car is a lot faster than Kyle Busch on that particular lap. We'll just see, like I said, how these 2 tires will hold up speed-wise for Kyle Busch. Only 10 laps to go, though.
And again, trends have had a late caution in most of these races lately in the Nationwide Series at this track. There's always the exception.
That's right. It's a gamble either way.
Yeah. 31 Allgaier, 38 Leffler, a couple of teammates for Turner Motorsports, racing for 11th and 12th spot. And racing close to the top of the Nationwide Series championship standings as well, by the way. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is running in 4th after the exchange of pit stops.
Hey, Mr. Turner's done a fantastic job putting these cars together, building this team, switching from Toyota over to Chevrolet, Hendrick engines, had to build all new cars, a big deal, and he's a new owner. He's doing a pretty doggone good job, I'll tell you that. Okay, watch these lap times. I mean, still going to work out. If this thing goes green flag, Kyle's going to win this race.
It's going to be close, though. If at this rate, it looks like that Carl Edwards will close up to him almost right to his back bumper. Kyle's going to have to really drive hard.
And Carl, by the way, also has Kevin Harvick stalking him.
Let's take a look at this. Here's, see the 18 car coming on the back straightaway now. Enter in turn 3. I don't see the second place car yet.
There they are.
Look at there. There we go. See Edwards into turn 3. Busch already off at turn 4. Speed's within a tenth of a second now, that last time by. Kyle Busch a tenth of a second slower than second place Carl Edwards. So Carl's locked up with a lap car a little bit here.
That is Reed Sorensen that they are trying to put a lap down. Sorensen already overtaken by the leader. He's in 15th position.
Andy, you talk about Carl Edwards and Kevin Harvick here. Harvick waited 1 lap and lost all that track position to those new tires. It's just amazing what those tires do.
Like I said, they're about a second a lap faster when you get 4 new tires. And he gave Carl Edwards, what, a couple of laps maybe?
Yeah.
Out there on those tires, so it was enough to make a difference. And you see it, look at Harvick now. He's a little out of control.
You got to believe if you're some of the Cup teams watching this race today and seeing how big time those tires are, you'll take note of that and not let that happen tomorrow to you.
There'll be 5 to go next time for Kyle Busch.
I think Kyle's got a good enough lead now. 3.8 seconds with 5.5 laps to go.
Does the caution come out?
Don't jinx him out.
Well,
that's what he'd be saying.
Yep. Please
if the caution comes out, I mean, he'll be dead in the water.
5 to go.
Well, Jason had to roll the dice like this. This is a great call. Andy, you're dead on about it, the 2 tires, because he was not the fastest car today. It was definitely Carl Edwards and Kevin Harvick, and Kyle was a distant third. And by making this move, 2 tires, what a smart move.
We saw Carl Edwards do this in the Cup race at Vegas when he beat Tony Stewart. Tony had really the best car, and Tony said after the race, he said, somebody's going to have to explain to me how I lost this thing. And if that happens today, Carl Edwards might be saying that same thing.
Edwards working all he can. He's put a little bit of a gap on Kevin Harvick, but he's still 3.4 seconds behind Kyle Busch. Less than 5 laps to go.
No matter how this turns out today, I got to believe this is a big turnaround for Kevin Harvick Incorporated today. They've got these cars better than I've seen them most all year long. This new car has been a struggle, he'll tell you. But this was a big move for these guys.
Doc, you got a report on this 33?
Yeah, Kevin Harvick just came on the radio and said, guys, all of a sudden this car is getting looser and looser, getting very loose. You can hear it in his voice, so you got to wonder if he maybe might have a tire going down. If he can hold it for now 4 more laps.
Well, look at him work that wheel, yeah.
That'd be tough luck. As well as this 33 is run all day long.
Let's take a look at this wheel, Andy, and see if we can see what's going on here with him, how he's holding on to it. I mean, he got in the corner, very gingerly moving that wheel. Just a little here, a little there. You can tell that car's loose. He's back steering.
He's turning right in the middle of the corner. Look at this. Man. He's earning his paycheck today.
Still running third. 3 laps to go. Kyle Busch, we talked about earlier starting the day, they didn't have the car they were looking for. They worked on it, Finally, they've made a strategy play, and it's got them out front.
Like I say, if that caution does not come out here in just a lap or 2.
Take a look at the 18 car here, his wheel now compared to Kevin. Kevin was back steering a lot, and it looks to me like Kyle's just got steady wheel into it. He's not near as loose as Kevin is.
2 laps to go.
1.7 second lead.
4 of the last 5 races here at Auto Club Speedway. Kyle Busch has won in this nationwide series. This season alone, Kyle Busch has led 69% of all the laps in the first 4 races coming into today. He didn't lead a whole lot today until when it's counted most. Now he's a lap and a half, less than a lap and a half away from another checkered flag if it all holds together. Well, I guess Harvick's decided he doesn't have a problem. Or Carl Edwards is just losing the handle. That is for second place. Edwards holding off Harvick for now. They're behind Kyle Busch by 1 6/10 seconds. Kyle there on the right on his final lap, looking for another win.
Oh, he's in the wall.
In the wall.
Whoa, here they come.
He lost a ton of momentum right there.
And that could be the race losing move right there. He's got to keep that momentum going into turn 3. As long as those tires are up still.
Here they come. Edwards trying to make a run. Not going to be enough.
That's all we needed. That's all we needed. Good job, boys. I can't believe it. We stole one. Woo! Yes.
Kyle Busch wins again. Boy, did they have to work hard for that one.
Now, those are fun wins when you do it that way.
That's too much fun, buddy.
These are fun races to win for a crew chief.
Oh,
look at this.
Teammates.
Coming to the stripe. This is forward position. Wow.
Teammate, don't wreck it. Door, corner.
That was for 11th spot. Tell me every point doesn't count.
Yeah. Great race today. Really a cool move by Jason Radcliffe with Kyle Busch.
Well, 3 for 5 this season, Doc, and they kept the streak going here in California when for most of the day it didn't look like it would happen.
What a call by Jason Ratcliffe. And Jason, gutsy call. We heard you say 4 tires, and suddenly 2. Why make the change?
Well, I'm just thankful that we got a team and we got a driver that's willing to take some chances like that. I mean, that was the only way to win it. The 60 and the 33, we just didn't have the car for him today. But our Z-Line Toyota was definitely a strong third, and that was our shot to do it. And that's fun. That's fun. Just praise the Lord for the opportunity to be able to do that. I knew it was going to be close, but these guys on pit road, they're phenomenal. I was afraid the thing would just get too tight there at the end, which it did.
Hey, what's going through your mind when you see him hit the wall there on the final lap?
I didn't see that, so I'm glad you just told me. I don't know. This is I don't know what to say. That's unbelievable. You just kind of, every now and then you can steal one, and that's kind of what we did today, just stole it.
Great call by Jason Ratcliffe, and Kyle Busch is headed to victory lane, guys.
Edwards and Harvick going to discuss it, maybe having that conversation. How did we lose this race? Career win number 46 for Kyle Busch in his 207th start. Going to come get the checkered flag. It's going to be a long jog from where he get out of that car.
I can tell you, that's one of his favorite wins right there. We're so used to him just driving off and dominating, but this was a real exciting one. When they win like this, a good fast car, but great strategy, and he's like, wow, how did it happen? We saw it happen, though, didn't we?
Kyle Busch wins the Royal Purple 300 here at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. Today we'll talk to the winner and some of the other top finishers when we come back. Back at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California, the 5th race of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season. I had a hunch at the start of the day this was going to be an interesting afternoon. Boy, it sure turned out to be that way. Strategy gets Kyle Busch to victory lane, while Carl Edwards and Kevin Harvick, who led most of the race and traded the lead between them, wind up having to settle for 2nd and 3rd. Shannon?
Carl Edwards down here discussing things with Jack Roush. So what went through your mind when you saw that Kyle took 2 tires?
Well, I just didn't expect that. I did not. I didn't think that was an option. And but man, we had a fast car, and they did a better job. They waited to see what we would do, and then they did the opposite. And if we would have had a caution or something at the end, I think it would have been really good. But I'm proud to drive this Ford Mustang today. We're still looking for marketing partners to join on this car for a couple races. And we're fast enough now. At least we're challenging for wins at these places. You know, those guys have been so dominant for a long time. It's nice to be up there and be able to race with them. But I got to say, good job to Ricky Stenhouse, too. There's only one other guy, a dirt racer, Howard Hall, that I raced with that drives in the corner that deep. That was unbelievable. He did a really good job, and it's a fun race other than winning.
2 tires, 4 tires might be something these guys will keep in their back pocket for tomorrow's race. Alan?
Well, Carl Edwards led 64 laps today. Carl Edwards led 48. Kevin Harvick led 64. Kyle Busch led only 18, but he led the ones that counted, Doc.
And Kyle Busch will climb me out in victory lane. Indeed, Alan, for the 2nd year in a row, 2nd spring in a row as we are being sprayed down here, Kyle Busch pulls it off in the late laps at Auto Club Speedway. Last year he made the pass on the white flag lap, and today, a little bit earlier, Kyle, a great job. So much to talk about. Let's back up and talk about the tire strategy first. Jason said 4, then he made a change to 2. Were you okay with that?
Yeah, I was good with it, man. I thought that was a great way to win the race. And, you know, these guys do such a great job. I can't thank Jason enough. He won the race today. You know, we stole this one. It wasn't ours. We were a third, fourth place car. Fourth place definitely on the short run, but good third place car on the long runs. I don't know why we had such a problem today getting going, but, man, the Z-Line Designs Toyota Camry would really come to life there late in the runs, and can't thank Toyota enough. NOS Energy Drink, Nationwide Insurance, Gillette, the fans. It's cool to come out here. I love California. I love the West Coast, so this is a cool win for us, and thanks Marquis Jets as well.
Hey, now you almost made Jason's heart stop on that final lap. Now, when they told him you bounced it off the wall, what happened?
Yeah, I got loose. I kept trying to run as high as I could, because as high as I could get it, it would actually have some grip up there. And I got up in the marbles too high off of turn 2, got my right rear in the stuff, and got loose, got in the fence a little bit. And good thing there wasn't one more lap, because that's all we needed right there. But, you know, just can't thank these guys enough. We didn't have a winning car. We worked all day yesterday at trying to prepare and trying to get ready and trying to do what we needed to do. I told them don't worry, and then we qualified 7th, and I'm like, well, maybe we ought to worry a little bit. And today, man, the 33 and the 60 were gone. They were so fast, and it took us a bit to get there. But, you know, we had a good enough car that we could keep with them at least, where we can make that call and get 2 tires in order to win the deal. So that's cool.
Hey, congratulations.
You got it, man. Thanks.
Kyle Busch, his 8th win at Auto Club Speedway in Allen, his 5th win in the last 6 NASCAR Nationwide Series races here.
It's a sign of a good driver and a good team that when they don't have the best car, they still find a way to stay with it, and make it work out in their favor. Joe Gibbs Racing, Kyle Busch, they sure did that today. And then he burned it down on the front straightaway, celebrating yet another win in the NASCAR Nationwide Series and another here at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. Lots more post-race interviews still to come. Please stick with us.
It's turned into a nice afternoon in Southern California, especially if you are Kyle Busch. 3 wins in 5 races. Aerial coverage brought to us by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Everything we have learned making tires for one of racing's most grueling proving grounds inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. 7 straight wins at this track for Joe Gibbs Racing. 46 wins in his nationwide career now for Kyle Busch.
Just a little over 7 seasons in this series, and he is just, like I say, remarkable. Great run by Kyle Busch. Great strategy by his crew chief today, and they had an outstanding result once again.
The most dominant car today, though, was Kevin Harvick. He finished 3rd, and here he is now with Dave Burns.
Well, Kevin Harvick got beat by strategy today, but you made a lot of moves at the shop this week. 2 KHI cars finished in the top 5 today. Are we seeing the result of all those moves?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for all the work that they've put in this week, and everybody working together and doing what they have to do to make our cars better. Just everybody on the Rheem Chevrolet did a great job this week. We'll continue to tweak on it and make changes as we need to get things better. The main part is today we were competitive, able to lead laps, and you hate to lose them, but we just came up a little bit short today.
10th top 5 for Kevin at the Nationwide Series here at California.
The last time Mark Martin was behind the wheel of the 32, he went to victory lane. It wasn't quite that ending today, but a solid performance nonetheless. Top 10. How would you describe it?
Well, the guys in the Dollar General car did a great job today. We had a good run. We were off a little bit. The car was really strong on new tires and restarts, and we didn't get, we got some long runs, and it fell off a little bit real loose, and would eat the right rear tire off of it on the long run, and we'd start falling back. So, with all those long runs there toward the end of the race, we just didn't get a chance to get up there and get with them. So we got a little bit of work to do, but it was a great job. Everybody did a great job, and it was a good run.
A very good run. 8th for Mark Martin this afternoon in California.
Well, Elliott Sadler's sponsor says bad boy, but a pretty good run for you guys today after starting 34th. What was the key to getting it up front?
Yeah, well, we had a really good car today during the race. We missed a little bit yesterday. We were way loose on a qualifying run. So proud of everybody at KHI. The last 2 weeks, we've really been getting more comfortable with this car. We learned a lot of stuff about this car, and today was a great run for us. And Bad Boy Buggies, I thought we had a pretty cool race car. I love the paint scheme on it. It's camouflage. Of course, I'm an outdoors guy. So a great day for us here in California.
You talk about overcoming overcoming adversity the past 2 weeks. Where is this team right now, especially after these 2 solid runs?
I think we're very strong right now because we went through, we got the wreck at Daytona, and then we had fuel problems at Phoenix, and we're starting to kind of, oh man, when is the thing's going to turn? And then at Bristol, first lap on the track, we wreck our primary car and have to go to a bag up. But this is a great shot in the arm to come here and go qualify like we did, work on the car, run in the top 5 all day long. Says a lot about this race team, and KHI is doing a great job of making our cars better each and every week. Kevin and I work very, very close with each other this weekend, and it paid off. And we feel very strong for the next couple of races we got coming up.
It's all about momentum. Elliott Sadler, he's got it. Dave?
And Shannon, I'm with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and I emphasize that because original Ricky was here, Dad was here today, watching him to race to his best finish of the season. Ricky, you led for a while. What happened there after you had the lead?
Yeah, I probably ran it too hard. I ran it really hard to get to the lead and past Harvick and Kyle and Carl there, and I was just running really, really hard. I probably should have backed off and just ran a consistent pace, and maybe we would have been a little bit better at the end, but it sounds like we needed to be over there ringing the bell. That was kind of cool. Hopefully we'll get there one day. We got 3 Nationwide champions in front of us, so it was a good day for us.
Highest finishing championship-eligible driver in the Nationwide Series today, guys.
He's now the points leader, the 4th points leader of 2011, and he told me earlier he wanted to give his guys an incentive to get the points lead. So you know what he's going to do? He's going to buy him some boots.
There you go. Nothing like a good pair of cowboy boots as an incentive.
The Sprint Cup Series races here tomorrow, and tomorrow morning NASCAR Now will get you up to speed at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2. Then tomorrow afternoon it's the IZOD IndyCar Series season opener. It's the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern on ABC. Next weekend, we have the SummitRacing.com NHRA Nationals. Catch the finals Sunday, April 3rd, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. That is on ESPN2. And, of course, the Nationwide Series is back at Texas Friday, April 8th, 8 Eastern. That also on ESPN2. More from the Auto Club Speedway of Southern California when we come back. Talk to a couple of our top 10 winners.
NASCAR.com.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at California is presented by CiCi's Pizza, home of the endless pizza, pasta, salad, and dessert buffet. And in part by 5 Hour Energy, the no-wait, no-hassle way to a great morning. And Carfax, free at your used car dealer. Just say, show me the Carfax.
It's been an interesting day in Southern California. The weather held out long enough for Kyle Busch to continue his march towards history. Meanwhile, Joey Logano really had to try to march his way towards the front after an issue early in the race. Here he is now with Mike Massaro.
Well, another strong day for Joe Gibbs Racing here at the Auto Club Speedway. Kyle Busch in victory lane. Joey Logano a top 10, 7th today. How would you assess the afternoon?
Long one. We're hitting a splitter there at the first run, so we came in and raised the nose up a little bit and then found out that we had a hole in the nose too. So we made an adjustment there, and then I think we've tried to catch up to the racetrack from there. And then, I don't know, we got the balance close. I just don't know where our speed is. I figure out what we're doing. We used to have a bunch of speed in these cars, and I don't know whatever happened. So we'll figure it out, I'm sure, eventually. Kyle's apparently got the guy it all figured out, so we'll just put in exactly what he has.
Well, an eventful day for Joey Logano. Still was able to overcome that adversity and bring it home in the top 10.
Well, Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bayne logged a 6th place finish today. And Trevor, I thought you were a no miss for a top 5 finish, and then suddenly late in the race you lost some track position. What happened?
I thought so too, man. It's weird to be disappointed with a 6th place finish, but we ran 3rd and 4th all day, battling with Kyle and Carl and Kevin. So I thought we were going to finish right there with them, but our car wasn't great on restarts. It was okay, and as the race went on, everybody else got better on restarts. Ours was really good after like 10 or 15 laps. So there was a restart there. The last caution on that restart, we lost like I think it was about 8 spots there on that restart, and we battled and battled and battled to get our way back through those cars, and once we got through them, it was all strung out. It was green flag from there on, so we ended up 6th, but we had a great car on long runs, so I'm a little disappointed with the finish, but it's still a good day for us.
I know the learning curve is very steep for you in the Cup car, but what did you learn today that's going to help you tomorrow?
I love California. I talked about Earlier today, I talked about how I hated practicing qualifying because you run the bottom all day long. Well, then in the race, you get to move to the top. I love that about California, that you can run the top, and I got to learn a lot about that today in the nationwide race. I think we were actually a lane higher this year than we were last year, so I learned that. I learned how to go across the seams. I think that'll translate big time for the Cup race tomorrow. In practice, we ran the top today, so I'm pumped for that Cup race. We ended up 9th in the second practice, so if we could get us our first top 10 after Daytona here, we're really, really happy with that.
Hey, good job today, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Mike?
Eric Almirola brings his car home 9th this afternoon, and that's a season best. Got to make you feel pretty good.
Yeah, it does. We finished good at Bristol, had a top 10. Come here, get another top 10. Really proud of everybody at Junior Motorsports. We got to work on getting top 5s next, and then we'll work on winning races. But really happy with our Ragu Chevrolet today. It drove good at the beginning part of the race, and then as the pace slowed down, we just got tighter and tighter and never really could get it back. So we led some laps. We showed that we can run up there, and we let it get away from us a little bit there at the end. But all in all, good day. Proud of all the guys on the team. Pops and everybody brought me a really good car, so happy about that.
Earlier this weekend, Pops Tony Eury Sr. expressed his frustration with the way the season has gone so far, but this is certainly a step in the right direction.
Almirola is 4th in points, and it's kind of fitting because we now have our 4th different points leader of 2011. Yep. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. now leads the way. He has a 6-point lead over Jason Leffler, who had the lead coming into today's race.
What a great race, too, for Kenny Wallace. Another top 15 finish that puts him into 8th place, and he maintains position. Outstanding job.
More from California when we come back.
In Southern California, we started the day talking about the race for most all-time wins of the NASCAR Nationwide Series. We've seen Mark Martin win a lot of races on this tour for an awful long time, but the count continues to get smaller between he and Kyle Busch. Kyle won another one today. Now just 3 between Kyle and Mark Martin for that spot atop the all-time wins record book in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Kyle Busch did not have the best car in Southern California today, but he and his team found a way to win the race again. It came down to a strategy call.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was one of those situations that a crew chief kind of lives for. You know, you don't have the best car, but we still want to try to figure out a way to win, and they did that. That two-tire call at the end was brilliant. It was the opportunity, was right there for them, and it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, fantastic day. But what I saw was a big turnaround for some drivers out there. I saw some of the young guys run real good. Ricky Stenhouse looked strong, but a big turnaround for Kevin Harvick Incorporated. He really shook things up at the shop this weekend. Got a lot of those guys nervous, I heard about, but it really paid off. He got that old car running a lot faster today.
So after Harvick and Carl Edwards dominated the race, it was Kyle Busch who was doing the celebrating and taking the photos in victory lane. Let's continue to talk to some of the other finishers on the day today. Dave?
Alan, Justin Allgaier started 10th, ultimately finished 12th. At one point during the race, driving your car harder, I know it sounds funny, actually helped it, but then ultimately, what were the handling issues?
Just the biggest thing is we tried making the car tighter. Everybody seemed to be fighting a loose condition today, and we made our car tighter, but all we really did was just loose front grip. We really didn't get the looseness out of it. So Monterey Brent guys did a great job. They worked hard. I mean, they every pit stop, I think we were throwing the kitchen sink in it, and we just never really found that one thing that helped us. So, we're going to go back home and work on it and try to figure out some stuff for Texas. I think, some of the things that we fought here we'll fight in Texas. So we're going to hopefully go back and get it all figured out and see what happens next couple weeks.
All right, 3rd in the championship, Alan. Not that far behind.
Dave, thanks. And Allgaier and the rest of the Nationwide drivers going to pack up now. They have an off weekend next weekend. Then it's on to Texas Motor Speedway. That's a Friday night race, April 8th. On to Talladega, Nashville, and Richmond to round out the month of April. Tickets available for all of those races. NASCAR.com/tickets has information. More post-race from California coming up.
Make sure you tune in tomorrow as we kick off the 2011 IZOD IndyCar Series season and the beginning of double file restarts in that series. That is tomorrow on ABC at 12:30 Eastern. But right now, how about we check in with the reigning NASCAR Nationwide Series champion? Here is Mike Massaro with Brad Kay.
And top 10 finish for Brad Keselowski, but I would imagine that's not what you expected today.
No, we had 2 really good races here last year, and I think we really learned something, and we ran really strong at Michigan. One of the first races for the new style Nationwide car, and just didn't seem to carry over here today. So, I'm proud of my guys and the effort they put in with the America's Tire, Dodge Challenger, but we just needed more, and we got a lot of work to do.
Keselowski brings it home 10th. Shannon?
Well, Jason Leffler, you said earlier today to Dave Burns that you were extremely confident right now. How did that translate to the racetrack?
Well, I mean, it was fine. The Great Clips Chevy was not what we expected, but we had a pretty solid day. So I got to thank all the guys for working hard, all the guys back at the shop, Steve and Sandra Turner for all they do. So we just got to get our cars a little better, and we'll be up there. But all in all, it was a solid day. It wasn't what we wanted, but guys did a great job on pit road. The Hendrick motor ran good, so we'll go on to Texas.
11th place finish for Jason Leffler. Nicole?
Confident and consistent of the 970 laps run this season, Jason Leffler is the only driver to complete every single lap. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to join us in 2 weeks as the Nationwide Series races under the lights. It's the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Texas, Friday, April 8th, 8 p.m. on ESPN2. Coming up next, college basketball scoreboard. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Thanks for watching.
Splitter bar. Trying to get more out of the car going down to the bottom of the racetrack. I'm getting loose. Just the seams that are messing me up. Right on you there. Right on you. Get your mark. Gas it up. All right, man, coming this time. You want to do it? Right size only? Whoa, got nothing to lose, man. Thank you, guys. Way to go. Way to go. Nice call.